It's time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Stats Norsworthy.
Welcome in live from the Family Leisure Studios in beautiful Memphis, Tennessee to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Gabe and with Stats. It's the January 20th, 2023 edition of the program. I am former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn on Twitter at G_Kuhn71. Producer of the program is Bryant Dacus from our team Memphis on Twitter at Bryant_Dacus. Bryant, what's happening?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. Nice jersey, by the way.
Thank you.
Beautiful
it's game
jersey.
weekend.
If you're watching us live on all of our different channels, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and my partner does pre and post for the Ole Miss Football Radio Network, he is Brett Stats Norsworthy on Twitter at Brett Norsworthy. Brett, how's it going?
It's going great, Gabe. Good afternoon to you and Bryant, to everyone. We're with you till 6 o'clock and into the weekend then. And I only say this about 50 out of 52 weekends. What a great weekend in store for us.
Great weekend of sports. Great weekend of sports.
It really is, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. Divisional round, basketball.
Grizzlies, Tigers,
basketball,
Golf.
Golf from La
Tennis.
Quinta.
We got tennis in Australia.
Tennis. Oh, by the way, how have you been doing on your Australian Open wagers?
Don't want to brag. Been pretty good.
Okay, I
Needed
thought
to
you were
borrow
going to
my
give me
wheelbarrow
a
to
record.
carry
I
all
don't know
that
if I need
loot
the
around here.
wheelbarrow, but
I didn't know if
bet
you were
very
going to give
lightly.
me a record or anything.
no, I don't. Keep
You have a
up with
winning
it.
record, though.
It's,
I would assume.
it's around winning. Yes.
Okay.
Go check out the Porsche in the parking lot.
That's
Ooh,
right.
a
Yeah.
record.
Just beep beep. You know?
Yes. Now, first out of our show brought to you by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. On the show today, we're loaded, as we normally are, on a Friday. Guest-wise, Alan Bell joins us from CBS Sportsline, talk some wagering for CBS Sports Digital. You know you need to follow him. You know that we'll get you some picks there at 3:30, 4 o'clock, same thing. We'll talk with Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet, though. See what they have differing, see what they have the same from the divisional round, from basketball, whatever it may be. 4:30, Ty Richardson will join us from ESPN Arkansas to talk some Razorbacks who are struggling mightily in basketball. And in football, I think there's some interesting things to talk about. Of course, we mentioned yesterday they have a new OC with Kendall Briles out to TCU. Dan Enos is in, and we'll talk to him at 4:30 about that. 5 o'clock, Tiger basketball talk with Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal. They get a win last night, 14-5 is where they sit, 88-78. And a lot of the ills that we have been discussing seemed cured last night, seemed cured to a certain extent, so we will discuss
Certainly
that in a moment.
Band-Aided over.
Yes, We'll discuss that in a moment. Also on the show, obviously top and not top story at the bottom of this segment. Brett, at the bottom of this hour, pointed me in the direction of some interesting TV nuggets, TV ratings that have to do with college football's bowl season versus some of the NBA ratings we've been seeing in primetime matchups. And for all the people talking about bowl season losing its luster, these numbers are not as bad as some would lead you to believe. And I think there's some.
These numbers are great.
I think there's some very interesting things to look at. Even
these
the
numbers,
worst bowl.
These numbers are what TV shows dream of.
What was it, 2.2 million to watch the Tigers versus Utah State? In the
First Responders Bowl played on a Tuesday afternoon. First Responders Bowl, no, not the Peach Bowl, not the Rose Bowl. First Responders Bowl, Memphis and Utah State, 2.2 million.
Everybody wants to point to the top and talk about the national championship being a low, but the rest of the bowl season is still watched. I mean,
and when you lose 23 million,
yeah, exactly. You're still doing pretty well. That's not niche.
I mean.
Right.
The Cowboys and the Buccaneers last Monday night came in at 32 million. 32 million. So Cowboys Buccaneers on a Monday night, handily defeated college football's top rating.
Of course.
23 million. And that was Georgia and Ohio State. Always do. And I'm going to make the case when we get to this. Look, we talk it all. We love it all. Again, if they keep score, I love it. In fact, that's my original line, and it was stolen by one of the bought show clowns on a Saturday morning. But it's my original line.
Yeah.
If they keep score, I love it. And we're going to talk it all. We're going to talk it all seasonally. I love the Grizzlies. I love the Tigers. I love March Madness. I love college basketball. I love golf. I love football. Baseball is my favorite. College football is 1A. It's right there, 1 and 1A. But to people that regularly want to diminish and ridicule The Liberty Bowl. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl. People around town that want to rip on it. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl drew 4 million people.
Yep.
When we talk about the eyes of the country were on us Monday afternoon for the MLK Day NBA game on TNT, it drew 805,000 people.
So here's what I'll say. I don't like, because I think through the past few years, and really it's been happening for a while, I feel like ratings have been weaponized more than they ever have been. I don't think we're doing that. What I'm saying is, in the grand scheme of things, women lie, men lie numbers don't. And when you look at some of these numbers, when we talk about it at the bottom of the hour, it's just to point it in that direction. Some of the narratives that get created around bowl season and viewership, and do people care? People care out there, I can tell you for a fact.
People care. And when you hear loud, noisy gong, clanging cymbal voices, when they say nobody cares, all I want them to do is tell the truth. Say, I don't care.
Yep.
Say, I don't care. Because I just said I do care about it all.
Yep.
Spring, summer, fall, winter, football, basketball, baseball, golf. I care about it all. I want it all to do well. I want us in a favorable light in anything. Brett the Homer, let me tell you why Brett's the Homer. It's a lot more fun to talk about a rising tide lifting all boats. A lot more fun. I said for years, I'm not the biggest Tennessee Vol football fan. Memphis sports talk radio is more fun when they're good. Last fall proved it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear people say nobody cares about the Pinochle.com bowl, and all the little cool kids with their degrees and their culture, and they all laugh at it. Well, they do care. People really do care. Say you don't care.
Right.
And that will have more resonance.
Yep, I agree. I totally agree. We'll talk about that at the bottom of the hour and get back into this conversation. I think there's a lot to be unpacked there. At the bottom of the second hour, we will get to some Grizzlies at Lakers, and we'll tell you why Darvin Ham is discussing the Grizzlies and how much they talk. He's trying to give his team an edge tonight in L.A., so we'll see what happens with that. I'll buy it when I see it. 5:30, we get the First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast. You know what we're doing. We're going straight down the division round, picking every single game, just four this week, but we're getting close to the end of football season. Golly. The least amount of games we pick all year, it gets depressing this time of year for me.
4 this Friday,
just thinking.
2 the next Friday, none the next Friday, and then 1 left.
We're not picking
the Pro Bowl?
We're not picking the Pro Bowl skills competition.
Yeah, it's 2-hand touch this year.
There's no game.
Yeah. Well, they have flag football, don't they?
That's right.
Yeah. So there is that. Well, if somebody gets injured in the flag football game, like pulls a hammy or something, that's going to be insanity.
We had a flag football game one year at the Pro Bowl. Robert Edwards almost died from a broken leg and an artery burst.
Well,
Robert Edwards, the great Georgia running back.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope that.
No, we sure. we don't. I don't want that to happen in the Super Bowl. I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen at Craig Mott versus East. I don't want that ever to happen.
Also, I'm going to tell you why at the bottom of the show, at the end of the show, why Jim Harbaugh says he is not a liar. He is anything but a liar. And Michigan football has a lot of stuff going on right now. They've had to move on from a co-OC due to a police investigation. We'll get to that. And Taco Bell Crunch Time around 5:45. Listener line, 901-360-8255. You can also watch us live and message us on our socials, Sports56 WHPQ, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. And hit us up on our website, sportsmemphis.com. And I do want to point you in the direction, since it is posted yesterday. We talked with Jaguars kicker, my former teammate, Riley Patterson. Really good conversation. And, they're playing tomorrow. Ahead of that game, go listen to that interview and what he had to say. I think there's some interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, the Michigan, it is. That was so much fun to visit with your friend, your teammate, and we wish him well this weekend. There's so much on that Michigan story. And until they are more forthcoming, it is fill in the blanks time for everybody out there, and it's not good. I'm not even going to what could be the worst case scenario with computer.
Right.
The best case scenario might involve some grade changing.
Brett,
right now, I think Michigan would take a little C turning into a B or something like that over what else it could be on a computer, as we know these days.
They cut ties with their co-OC Matt Weiss, and they're trying to keep both situations, the NCAA investigation and that, separate. Am I wrong for thinking they could very well be tied in? We're talking about computer access crimes and potential inhibiting of an investigation. We will see, obviously, what this arises to. But for me right now, just looking at it, the both sort of popping up at the same time, it's hard for me to separate the two. And that's what Michigan's trying to do.
It's almost impossible to separate. And, Gabe, we know too often once the NCAA investigator, and it's almost singular, I mean, it's very few of them, once they show up on campus for whatever, when they start looking into things, almost like in the political realm, the special prosecutor, when they, because it's open-ended. Now, very different from that to the NCAA. The NCAA doesn't have subpoena power. They don't have, and they don't have an endless budget that the federal government seems to always have. But we know the original NCAA infraction that got them to town at Ole Miss was over the women's basketball program.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
and voila.
A lot of things. You open a door and a lot of more doors open, if that makes sense. I mean, it's never ending when the NCAA is on
Well,
campus.
they camp out in town, and the investigators, they start investigating.
Yep.
Imagine that.
Yep.
And they start talking, and they hang around town. They go to the popular places. What have you heard? What do you know? And most of the time when that happens, wherever the rival of said school, wherever it is, they find out they're in town and they find them. This is the direction you need to go in. Right here. Right here. This is it.
But if you're listening to Jim Harbaugh, he wants you to know one thing. He's not a liar. He is not a liar, Jim Harbaugh isn't. So we'll talk about that. Now, Tigers, we'll talk about this as well. 14-5, 88-78 last night over Wichita State. They moved themselves up in the net 2 spots. They're at 43 after that win, 10-point win. Didn't quite cover, but they really had a handle on that game in the second half. And I guess everything that we have talked about, the rebounding woes, the shooting woes, I guess they disappeared last night. 11 for 21 from 3. DeAndre Kendrick and Keontae Kennedy, 9 for 13 by themselves from the 3-point line. They rebounded. They out-rebounded Wichita State 33-27. That was one of their most complete games in a long while since out-of-conference play.
They sure did, and got a good win over, I think, a horribly coached Wichita State team. The Tigers get that win. They got to go to Wichita on February 23rd. That could be tougher there.
Yep.
But you can almost satisfy yourself with a roadie loss to Wichita State. You couldn't have home lost. They didn't. They win by 10. Looked really good doing it. I think, especially from about the 10-minute mark of the first half. The last 30 minutes of the game time, I thought the Tigers played exceedingly well. And, Gabe, you mentioned a tough point spread loss. Just
brutal.
Our Tiger bankroll for absolute radio funsies. That's the kind of loss that you want to go full Elvis on your TV.
Yeah,
You're on a comeback, Brett. That's 3 in a row.
That's brutal.
I know. I won $60.
Oh, yeah.
In the 3 in a row.
Well, you can't bet too much right now. I get it.
I can't.
Even if you double up right now, you're not.
The
gonna
money
even get to
management
me.
is almost equal to the poor picks.
I will say this.
That's
do
gaming,
think,
isn't it? Bad money management and bad picks.
I do think as the game
That's why the
went
books
on,
drive a Cadillac.
Amen.
as the game went on last night, I started to get the sense that Isaac Brown was a little bit in over his head, and it didn't look very good. But I'll say this. That first 10 minutes, that first half defensively, Wichita State had the Tigers all over the place, confused as hell. They didn't know where to move the ball. They were flipping from box and ones.
And
to
then
zones,
Coach
to
Hardaway
mans,
made changes.
Then
and he coached.
He adjusted a tad bit, but I thought Isaac Brown came out with a good plan, but the plan never changed. It just sort of
Sure
tried
did.
to stick with it. And
By
it
golly,
didn't
we
work
got a
long
game
term.
plan.
It didn't work long term.
We're going to run the dive play whether it works or not.
Right. But the Tigers, I don't even know what to think about that shooting. We've seen it all year that they're not a good shooting team, but 11 for 21, by far their best output of the year, 53%. And I'm not even going to act like this is something they can keep up. But if they can, at any level of consistency, shoot somewhere around 35 to 40%, this team will be so much better because of it, and it won't even be close. And I think you saw last night, those open looks they've been getting, they've been open. They just finally knocked down a few. It's weird because I think we always talk about Penny Hardaway and his system and maybe a lack of some
key players.
But, Brett, maybe a lack of a system. We talk about that all the time, but I think all year they've gotten these open looks and just haven't capitalized. And last night was the first time where I sat back and said, they are hitting everything from the outside, every open look they got.
I think they've missed Jaden Hardaway making that 1 or 2 or 3 rainbow threes, those high archers that could draw rain, but they go through the bottom of the net and they count for 3 points.
Yep.
Gabe, in the preseason, I had the Tigers to this point, I promise you. We can go back and pull the tape out, and I can show you on paper. I had the Tigers 14-5 at this point. Well, they are 14-5. In the preseason, I don't know where I had them in the net on Friday, January 20th at 14-5, but I'd take about 43.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Tigers are in pretty good shape, and I think I'm going to get to it in a second in my top story, or rather later. I'm going to get to it in crunch time. I think people need to enjoy it more.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't want to sort of beat a dead horse here, but we talked about it yesterday. Last year at this point in the season, that was 9-8 after the SMU loss. That was 9-8. I mean, it was substantially worse last year, and it almost, Brett, it almost feels the same, doesn't it? It doesn't. I feel like the
almost as bluesy as
the doom and gloom around this team and how they've been playing. I feel like it's still similar. I think last night definitely, brought a couple of people back, and you see some of the opportunity there is to hit open shots and some guys that could potentially step up, but it sort of feels in a lot of ways emotionally from the fan base similar.
Yeah, I don't know why the lack of attraction. I mentioned it yesterday that with Greg. Remember, I said this is an odd feeling year. The best game's probably a loss. The worst game was probably a win, and the Tigers sorting it out. I don't think it's Grizzlies' jaw fever that's just enveloping and blocking out everything around town. But I don't sense any penny mania, any Tiger euphoria. And I don't know that 14-5 should get it, but it should get a little more than it's getting.
I felt a lot of positivity during the out-of-conference portion of their schedule and how they manage those SEC teams and all that. But since we've gotten into the sort of hard here of the conference schedule and they've played a little bit worse, it sort of returns back to the norm, back to that a little bit of that doom and gloom. Now, I want to ask this question before we get into top story of the day, and I think it's an interesting one. Heard it on Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gasson and Eli Savoy on these airwaves. Who do you think wins? Last year's team or this year's team? Hit us up at the listener line, 901-360-8255. Let us know your thoughts on that. 901-360-8255. Who do you think was the better team? Who do you think wins in a game, last year's team or this year's team?
I love your question, and we won't answer that. And I hate to be so myopic and kind of the scrutiny of your question. To this point, are the team that scared Gonzaga?
I'm however you want to frame it within your grasp. Whatever you think the case is.
I think that Tiger team at Dickey's Arena for the AAC tournament
was a different team.
And against Boise State and against Gonzaga would have walloped last January's Tiger team and would really wallop this January's Tigers team.
But just let us know, 901-360-8255.
Yeah, that is a good question. This hour of our show brought to you every day by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway. That's Lexus of Memphis. They're online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500. You'll be looking, you'll be driving, in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at LexusOfMemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
And it's funny, Brett, usually I ask questions that I have a really thought-out, well-opinionated answer to. I don't have a thought-out, well-opinionated. I want to know what
That's what all good attorneys
think.
do. They know the answer to the question they're going to ask.
I want to know out there what people
Counselor
think.
Kuhn, very good.
But that's my top story of the day. Tigers win 88-78, improved to 14-5, and they can shoot somehow. 11 for 21 last night. 9 from the big three, if you will, of DeAndre, Kendrick, and Keontae Kennedy. DeAndre Williams was phenomenal last night, 29-15, 3 steals. And here's the biggest thing. Here is the most massive thing about DeAndre Williams. Only 3 fouls. He was on the floor for 35 minutes. If he can do that game to game, he will have good production, and this team will have a better chance to win. But he has to stay on the floor. Also, they can rebound. They win the rebounding battle 33-27. Some of the ills that we have been talking about were relatively fixed last night. Now, do they need to get healthy? Do they need to continue sort of pushing in both of those regards, shooting and rebounding? Yes. But I thought it was a massive improvement. And now when you look at that 8-game stretch, they're now 2-0 on that 8-game stretch of teams that, let's be honest, they should beat. Next one up on Sunday at Cincinnati. That's going to be a big one. That's one of the higher-rated AAC teams in the net rankings. Could potentially help their resume. And I think it's absolutely one that they should have in the bag by the time we get to Monday.
That's a big one on Sunday. My top story, almost impossible for these 4 NFL games to match last weekend's games just by the sheer number of them, or last year at this time. But somehow the Shield always produces. Will it be chalk, upsets, or a mix of kind of chalky upsets? Trevor Lawrence in his second playoff game versus Patrick Mahomes in his 12th playoff games. Danny Dimes in his second playoff game. Jalen Hurts in his second playoff game. Josh Allen, playoff game number 8 versus Joe Burrow in his 6th playoff game. Feels like more, but it's only 6. Dak Prescott, 6th career postseason start versus Brock Purdy in his 2nd. I'm not going through the whole research of it. I'm just going to say blanket something that I have no idea if it's true or not. That's how you build credibility, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
The average of these starters has got to be the youngest ever on this weekend.
It's got to be close. It's got to be close.
But when you throw in Brady and
Yeah.
Peyton and Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and Kurt Warner and Eli and Roethlisberger and all those familiar names that just right here in the last few years, that they would skew that average so much.
My favorite thing that Brett just said, though, is chalk upsets or chalky upsets. What do we think?
It's accurate.
Not top story of the day.
Grizzlies are visiting the Lakers tonight, and we know that LeBron's chasing Kareem. He's got a little bit to go. We'll see what he can do there. Zaire Williams will be questionable, although he was at the shoot-around today with a non-COVID illness. But Darvin Ham has really, really gone after his team, and he said he hopes that the Grizzlies' trash-talking ways brings out the best in the Lakers. He's trying to add fuel to the fire. We'll see if the Lakers can get it going. But at the same time, Darvin, I'll tell you, the Grizzlies can talk as much trash as they want. That doesn't change that Troy Brown Jr. is in your rotation. That doesn't change. It doesn't change that Patrick Beverly's a starter on your team, okay? I mean, in the end of the day, the Grizzlies' trash-talking ways, everyone around the league has had to deal with them, and the Grizzlies still sit at 31-13. Now, you'll remember Bane and Bron last year trash-talking. After the game, LeBron said that these young guys need to have some respect. And it was really when we realized that the Lakers and their struggling ways, no one has respect for the Lakers and what LeBron and AD are putting out anymore. But on the positive note for the Grizzlies could potentially tie the 1959 Celtics and the 1982 Nuggets as for the most consecutive wins with 115-plus points. So they're putting themselves in rarefied air on this streak. We'll see if they can continue it tonight.
Famed 59 Celtics. Wow, that's a good one. That might have had Luskatoff and Larry Siegfried on that team. We'll look it up. My not top story, Grizzlies on the road for the next 5 tonight in Hollywood versus Showtime? Well, versus the Lakers. LeBron only 284 to pass the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He won't get 284 tonight, but the Grizzlies can make some history with the team record, 12th win in a row. 11's the record. 12 in Tinseltown. That's got a ring to it. And, Gabe, you were away around the holidays. I love Darvin Ham. I was covering NCAA tournament when he was a player at Texas Tech. Arkansas and UMass played the first game at the Georgia Dome, and Texas Tech and Georgetown played the second game. I'm old and my memory gets a little shaky. It might have been reversed, the order of the games, but I think that was the order. Allen Iverson was a freshman or sophomore at Georgetown. Darvin Ham had the dunk of all time, the greatest single dunk I've ever seen in my life in person.
Listen.
He tore down the Georgia Dome. He did more damage to the dome that night than the tornado did a few years later.
Listen, I like Darvin Ham. I wish he would have gotten a chance earlier to be a head coach and a head coach of a good team, but for him to say he hopes the trash-talking ways bring out the best in his team, it does not change, again, that Thomas Bryant's your starting center, Troy Bound Jr. right now is your starting small forward, and Winion Gabriel's coming off the bench. Doesn't change it. The team's just not good.
Even people that didn't cuss when he had that dunk, they all went, "Oh!" You know the next word.
Yeah, I get you.
Everybody on media row, everybody in the building.
But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day.
Brett Norsworthy here for FanDuel NFL playoffs. They will heat up tomorrow, 2 games tomorrow, 2 games Sunday. And with FanDuel, every play is a rush. New customers, join today. Join right now so you can bet the divisional round with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Sign up right now with the promo code SPORTS56. Don't forget, SPORTS56. I love my favorite wager of the weekend, the Cowboys 49ers under. America's #1 sports book has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, with FanDuel, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. All on an app that's secure, safe, and super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets. Win or lose with promo code SPORTS56. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets expire in 14 days. Restrictions do apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Now we have to go ahead and get to our first break, and it's always well-timed when he gets to that FanDuel spot because we're giving you some picks on the other side with our guy from CBS Sportsline, Alan Bell.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors. I'm often called Shell Done because I sell homes and work with buyers and I get the job done. There are 7 keys to successfully selling your home quickly at a great price. First, call me. I do my research and advise you on preparation, presentation, and proper pricing that gets you the activity to get the best price. Follow my advice and it can happen. I did mention 7 keys to a successful sale, didn't I? Well, if you use the first key, calling or emailing me, you really don't need the next 6 keys. Remember, that's Sheldon Rosengarten at 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. If you don't need me now, write it down for later or for a friend at Sheldon at 483-0546 at MemphisRelocate.com. Do it now, and who knows, you may hear your home advertised here. Remember, as bad a golfer as I am, when selling homes, Shell Dunn gets it done.
Forte PE 573, MSRP 21335, K5 LSX 0099 18857, MSRP 26805. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/2023 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Hey, Jeff, my man, are you ready to almost give away some new Kias today to start the new year off right at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. How about 41 MPG Highway in your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS, only $254 a month. 36-month lease, $27.99 due at sign.
Hey, Jeff, how about that new K5? That thing's awesome.
We got it at just $319 a month. 36-month lease, $31.99 due at signing. Plus, with all your new Kias, you know you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And if you don't see exactly what you want, I'll order it for you, and you won't pay over MSRP at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Golfers, tee it up this Thursday through Sunday at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the Callaway Fitting event and be the first to score the new Paradigm woods and irons. The woods are engineered with forged carbon to maximize distance and forgiveness. The irons feature a forged face for increased launch speed and spin. A new paradigm in performance. Go to worldwidegolfshops.com and reserve your free custom fitting experience happening this Thursday through Sunday. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
We told you this was going to happen, and now it has. The floor model sale is happening at Family Leisure, lowest prices of the year. On pool tables, on those wonderful spas, on patio furniture, state of the art, and of course the game tables. Floor model arcades are now starting at $1,200. It's your last chance for a 2022 pool. And floor model trampolines are only $2,100. That's the installed price. Family Leisure, I-40 and Wooden Road, where family and fun come together.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis.
I work hard for this. I want you to know that.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Always great to catch up with a notable man of the people. That's Alan Bell at Alan Bell 247, CBS Sports Digital, CBS Sports Line. You can find him on Twitter at Alan Bell 247. Alan, what's the word, man? How's it going?
Man, what's up, boys? Y'all good?
Yes, sir. Hanging
We're
in
real
there.
good. You were fantastic with us last Friday, going 10-5 on everything from kicker overs to team totals, first half point spreads, game traditional side and totals. Great job, Alan Bell. When Gabe calls you man of the people, I guarantee you this, Alan, you are. How many beers have you bought for buddies in your life?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. First off, I appreciate that. You know what? A few. We picked up some, but you know what? We got some good old boys over here that pick up some tabs as well. So it all comes back to you, you know?
Yeah. It does. It really does. If you'll buy around, you'll get one bought for you.
100%.
Now, I want to ask you, before we get into picks in general, what are the biggest sort of sticking points with some of these games? You talk about Josh Allen and his turnovers, what the Bills looked like last week, the Bengals injuries, Jalen Hurts' shoulder, the Cowboys finally getting off the schneid and road playoff games and having to go travel to the 49ers this week. What have been sort of the sticking points of how you're looking at these games?
Yeah. So that's a great question. I'll tell you what, we can hit one for each game quickly, right? So first off, Chiefs or the Jaguars at the Chiefs. What do we get out of the Chiefs? You know, when they play full 60-minute games, they are a winning and covering machine. Their problem is they get bored in games, right? Like I'm fascinated to see how they look against Jacksonville. The second one, we've got the Giants at the Eagles. Look, man, like the whole thing is Jalen Hurts. Like, how healthy is he? And not only like the health-wise, but like fully utilizing him in health, right? Like, is he running the ball as well? Do we get the full Jalen Hurts experience? Because if we do, buddy, they could put up a ton of points. If they don't, man, the Giants, dude, they don't hurt themselves, right? Like, it's something to pay attention to, and especially with the spread of 7 and the hook. So pay attention to that. Bengals, Bills, I mean, gosh, you get the rematch of that, DeMar Hamlin situation. Josh Allen, like you said, in terms of turning the ball over, it feels like the Bills are the only team that could beat the Bills, and they try to do it every weekend. And then the night game, man, the Cowboys at the 49ers. Which Cowboys team do we get? You look at that playoff game last year where the 49ers and Cowboys played. The 49ers defensive line was so impressive. They had 5 sacks on Dak, 25 pressures. Dak threw for 79 yards and an interception. Yeah, so fascinated to see how that looks this time around. Because Dallas might not be able to run the football, but the key is getting up early.
Dallas, they have to game plan for where is Nick Bosa. Are there any props out there you like concerning him? And with the fragility of Jalen Hurts, and they say that his injury is he's too injured for the touch, that just to touch it. Never mind a pounding of it, injured to the touch for it. Are there any backup odds for you with Gardner Minshew?
Well, that's a good question, right? Like, you're not going to see too many right now in terms of prop bets for that, but, for Gardner, right? But, you bring up an excellent point that, it could be a situation where you play unders on Jalen Hurts prop bets, specifically rushing and passing, right? Like, I mean, if he's out, gets knocked out of the game.
Attempts, yards, everything.
100%, man. Like, you're playing with fire for sure, right? Like, you're taking a risk there, but you know that going into it that you're playing that, and you've got to be able to say, okay, if I lose the bet, I lose the bet, but I'm taking a strategic angle here. With Dak Prescott, right? Like, yeah, you can absolutely play Nick Bosa's sacks. I think his number set at 3/4 of a sack, so 0.75, right? So you can look at that. You can look at sacks as a whole. I think you can also play punts in that game. I think the number's set at like 8. So, yeah, like there's a lot of ways to go about it for sure.
Now, with this Jags and Chiefs game, Jags last week, that 27-point comeback. And a weird thing on the side is Doug Peterson saying, almost that they're playing with house money, right? I don't know what that means behind the scenes and how his team's responding to that type of sort of wording, that type of rhetoric, but we will see. But so far on the spread bets, this is really 50-50. The public is not really loving the Chiefs, 9.5, 8.5, whatever it's at right this second. What do you think? I think also one of the things I have been looking at, and you could tell me if I'm right or wrong, Chiefs first half, they tend to, you mentioned it, they tend to get out, jump out in the first half, and then sort of sit on the ball.
Yeah, they do. The Chiefs first halves are generally pretty good bets. Same thing with the Eagles, right? Same thing with the 49ers. 49ers, like, gosh, the last 11 weeks, they've been the highest points per game team in the NFL, and it's because their first half. Yeah, man, like, that's the big question, right? And now that it's the playoffs and this team is experienced, right? Like, I think that they understand that there's no getting bored, right? And I'm not, trashing Jacksonville on that one. But, you brought up the point of, Doug Peterson saying that, we're playing with house money. Look, he's been saying that all year to that team, right? And I think it was the right play because you've got a young team and he's essentially telling them, don't be nervous. Don't worry about anything. Like, if you throw a pick, I'm going to give you a hug and you're going right back out there, right? And it's worked for them. Right, so there's no change in their operation of what they've done all year, and that's what makes it so dangerous. Is that they're a team that'll go for fourth downs, right? Like they just do those little things that kind of annoy you. The problem is that the Chiefs do too, right? Like they're not afraid to be aggressive offensively.
They're playing ring around the rosy in the huddle.
Literally, like dude, like they're doing it. Yeah, like
to entertain themselves.
100%, and I think that's a big reason. I really do. I think that Andy Reid has kind of built these things in. To say, boys, I'm not going to let you get bored, right? Like, which sounds crazy. But, yeah, but I'll roll the Chiefs. You get them at 8.5. I like that because also you got a concern here about extra points and a team that goes for 2. Yeah, I like that. If it's 9.5, no, I don't. But 8.5, yeah, I'll take it.
What about total in that game?
What does it sit at? 48? Is that right?
I think it's higher. I think it's gotten boosted up. I think it's gotten as high as 53.
Maybe like 52.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. Yeah, I mean, I would play the over or nothing. I know that games get tighter in the divisional round, and you've got two teams who can sit on the ball and have long, sustained drives. But I think the pace of this game is going to be sped up. I also think you're going to see turnovers on both sides. I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes also to throw an interception. You get that at like -105. He generally is good for one, usually in garbage time, right? Because they stay aggressive.
Or Hail Mary before the half. Yeah.
It literally, yeah. Like, you're going to get a lot of opportunities. So you're able to play Mahomes on an interception. But, yeah, it would be the over or nothing.
Over or nothing in that game. What are some kind of off-Broadway things you really like? You mentioned anytime touchdown. I love interception, pat him on the back and congratulate him. I like a Darius Slayton touchdown because it just felt like Brian Daboll and that staff after that big drop late, we're going to get your confidence back up one way or the other.
Yeah, that's a great call. That wasn't on my radar, honestly, and now it is. That's an excellent call. You're right, man. Daboll does that. And it's fascinating. Like, look at last year's Josh Allen, like 0 turnovers. Dude was on fire, right? Daboll leaves. Josh Allen's turning the ball over again. And your boy Daniel Jones is not. You know what I mean? Like, Daboll is proving how good of a coach that he is. I like that. I like Patrick Mahomes' interception I mentioned. I like Brock Purdy for an interception. I think Dallas is going to force them to pass the ball and pass it deeper down the field. I also like Dak Prescott. Like, you better get it now, though. It's going to be like minus 150. I like, Prescott. So I like those. I also like the 49ers first half team total over 13.5. And I like their second half team total over 13.5 because you're probably guaranteed to get at least one. And you probably might have a chance of getting 2 because you know what? Dallas can play fast, too. And I don't think they're going to be running the ball a whole lot. So, yeah, you have opportunities.
What do you think about the Eagles and the 7.5? I think the hook obviously came after a while. They were being publicly bet. But what do you think about that number in general? Because the final game of the season was six points, I believe, when Jalen Hurts made his return.
Yeah, honestly, I think it all comes down to Jalen Hurts. Like, if you think Hurts is good and you're getting the 100% Jalen Hurts experience, I would ride this number with the Eagles, right? Because honestly, I think that if they're good and playing prime, they could blow New York out. This could be a game where New York just couldn't. They just can't play that style. But if you don't get that from Jalen Hurts, this is probably going to be a slow grind game. Definitely an under type. But yeah, I think Jalen Hurts and the Eagles come out on fire. I really do. So yeah, I'll lean on the Eagles on that.
Now the Bengals, it's an interesting thing because whenever you bring up their injuries across their offensive line, Jonah Williams won't play, Alex Kappa won't play, La'el Collins is out for the year. Everybody says, well, they did it last year. They were able to, even with a terrible offensive line, get it done, even against the Titans. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill helped with that. But they did play the Raiders, Titans, and then finally face a team in the Chiefs that it took overtime to beat. What do you think about that thought process? Do you think that there's validity to that, or do you think that O-line is just truly too hurt to compete long-term in the AFC Championship, however far they get?
Yeah, I think that's the question, for the Bengals, right? You know what you're going to get out of Burrow, but how it simply comes down to how protected and how much time. All right, so talking about that, like, they are hurt for sure, but they're always going to be in it. The Bengals could go up there and win outright. I don't think it's surprised anybody, right? But from looking at it, from kind of an X's and O's standpoint, because that is a real thing, and the Bills, they don't blitz. At all. Like, they get after you with their 4, right? So
that Von Miller injury was huge.
And they like to cover you.
Huge. Yeah, they do, right? And Matt Milano's a monster out there, linebacker. But, what it says to me is this, is if you're looking at prop bets or just kind of game scripting what the Bengals offense will look like, sure, they'll take their shots down the field because they always do. But Burrow might not have a lot of time back there, right? So I would take a look at, Joe Mixon receptions, Joe Mixon receiving yards. I would look at Joe Burrow completions because you could see a lot of short yardage passing, not only to alleviate that, but also keep the Bills honest. And then also, you're going to get your shots down deep too. So you could see some numbers that drop down for like longest reception, guys like T. Higgins. But yeah, man, like I think that's a real thing. But Joe Burrow's so good that, like, he could play with it. Like, any style, he could get down. So could Josh Allen. Like, this is going to be a hell of a game.
Last question for our friend Alan Bell from CBS Sports. He went 10-5 with us last Friday. So chart these picks for sure. Follow these picks and win some cash this weekend. 49ers 4.5 over the Cowboys. That's one question. I want the side and the total for that game, but also this, and it may lie right there in that game. After this weekend, for good or for bad, who has the biggest image change nationwide out of these playoff games, for good or for bad?
Yeah, okay. So first off, I'm rolling with the 49ers. I think that they're a better team overall, offensively, defensively, you name it. Now, the Cowboys are good too, right? Like, if we get Dak like we got last week, buddy, strap in. It's going to be a fun one. But I'm going to take my chances here with San Francisco. Also, like I said, played 49ers team total 13.5 over in the first half and second half. And then both quarterbacks to throw an interception, Purdy and Prescott. All right, now you talked about the image. Let me also say this: Kyle Shanahan, 6-1 against the spread in the playoffs in his head coaching career. 4-0 against the spread over the last two postseasons. Ardue puts up points and covers. Now you talk about the image part, right? For good or for bad.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's a good question, and I'll tell you what. I think the biggest concern would be the Bills. If the Bengals go up there and take them out, look out, because there are going to be a lot of questions about Josh Allen turning the ball over, which he would probably have to do if they lose the game, and then really having no run game. I think that would be a concern. And then always the Cowboys, right, because they're the Dallas Cowboys. If they go out there and lose.
Dak, McCarthy, Jerry Wayne.
Not that it's a bad loss. I mean, the 49ers could win the Super Bowl, right? But you're just going to get that, Dallas only made it this far. Like, you're just going to get that conversation.
But here it is. Dallas lost to Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? On the good side,
they're not the only one.
Look at Purdy, right? Like, I think if this kid keeps leading this team, now you're talking about San Francisco. What do you
on the other side, Cowboys are back. Cowboys in an NFC Championship game. And there's a scenario: Cowboys hosting an NFC Championship game.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. And then the Eagles, right? Like, you look, there's gonna be a conversation about Jalen Hurts, running the ball or running him.
Jerry will fly home from San Francisco if they're hosting against the Giants, figuring up how much extra money he's going to make for the grandkids.
Oh God, like he's just going to be printing it again, man.
For sure. I'm sad we're up against the break. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Rand Carthon to the Titans, but I'm just going to frame it this way. We'll catch up on it next week. Trey Lance or Jimmy G going to be a Titan next year? What do you think? Where are we at?
I think one of them, 100%. Whichever one's cheaper, I 100% agree.
Let's see. How about it, Alan? Great stuff, man. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate y'all.
And have a good weekend.
Good luck.
Hey, you too.
Good luck. Alan Bell with us from CBS Sports this weekend. The Collierville Commissary, the Germantown Commissary, that's where you need to start your game planning, watching parties, and preparation for the big game coming up at either of those places. Or go to the Collierville Commissary to watch all the games Saturday night into late Sunday. Tiger game will be on TVs there as well against the Bearcats, then Bengals, Bills, Cowboys, 49ers. All at the Collierville Commissary, Houston, Levy, and Poplar are the mainstay. The original in Germantown, perfect place for the big groups. I know all those Cowboy fan clubs around town. That's where you need to locate yourself Sunday afternoon and enjoy. And Tiger fans will be there with you. If you're craving an easier way to order, text Commissary to 33733 for that Memphis-style barbecue that screams the Memphis way, the slow-cooked way. Start that feast with the great appetizers like the cheese plate, the smoked chicken wings, the tamales are their invention in the early 80s, and look what it did for all of us for game watching and enjoying the barbecue nachos. Dig into the ribs of the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a sandwich, on a plate, all the sides, beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread as well. You can order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. The salads are great, the Brunswick stew, and the desserts, lemon icebox pie, strawberry cake, banana pudding, 901-754-5540, or online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown. Again, that number, 901-754-5540, or go online to commissarybbq.com.
Brett pointed me in the direction of some interesting nuggets, some numbers when it comes to TV ratings and what it looked like around bowl season, college football bowl season this year. We'll talk about those when we return.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Basketball was born on the court, but it doesn't have to remain there. This NBA season, Hennessy celebrates creatives like Victor Solomon, who take the game beyond the floor. Their work isn't just inspired by the sport. It helps us see it through a new lens. Hennessy, the spirit of the NBA. Never stop, never settle. Please drink responsibly. Imported cognac Hennessy, 40% alcohol by volume. 2023. Imported by Moet Hennessy USA Incorporated, New York, New York. Hennessy is a registered trademark.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test-driven, checked out from head to toe. Unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique, fun bet types like same-game parlay, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started and be sure to sign up with promo code CASH so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code CASH. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis.
What we are dealing with here is a perfect machine. It's really a miracle of evolution.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
The ratings numbers are in for all the college bowl games, all 41 bowl games and the national championship game. And I bring this up juxtaposed against the Monday TV ratings for the NBA. The NBA on TNT had two games on Monday. They had the mid-afternoon game, the Heat and the Hawks. It drew 604,000 people. That night, the Grizzlies game, tipping off here locally around 5 or so, at 6 in the East, it drew around 805,000. These are the industry-wide recognized ratings for sports watching, for TV watching. It's at all the sites. You can go to whichever one you want to cherry pick and find it. The least watched bowl game. For all the people that tell you these games don't matter, nobody watches, who cares? Who cares about the Bahamas Bowl on Friday afternoon, December 16th, kicking off at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? It drew 822,000 people, or about 17,000 more than the NBA on a federal holiday did last Monday. That was 41st out of the bowls. You had the Gasparilla Bowl drawing 3.5. You had the Independence Bowl drawing 2.4.
And it was 41 out of 42, and the Arizona Bowl doesn't have ratings because it's on Barstool's network.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. You had the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, not Wheelhouse TV watching, and if you are, you're watching It's a Wonderful Life. It drew 1.1 million. Texas Tech Ole Miss kicking off at 8:20 on a Wednesday night, drew 2.6. UCF Duke 2.1. I mentioned the Tigers earlier. Western Kentucky and South Alabama, those football juggernauts, drew 1.2. Here locally, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl that is crushed, panned, and ridiculed by way too many people in this market that should know better. And I think some owe an apology to Bill Rhodes and AutoZone and to Steve Earhart and Harold Grader and the AutoZone Liberty Bowl people. It drew 4 million people. 4 million people watching our city in a positive light at a great event that we've had for over 60 years.
Yep. And what's bothersome about some of these ratings, and I get we're in the age of ratings being used against people, they're being weaponized in a big way, but what people will talk about is, the national championship was one of the least watched games, least watched national championship games in recent memory, still drug out 17.5 million people to go watch the damn game. And it was 65-7 was the final score. And here's what I'll say, and I think this is an interesting point, and I want the numbers on this. And obviously I think we're going to have to tally this up by the end of 2023. But I want to know, when it comes to betting, sports betting, where does bowl season rank? It feels as if that really is one of the more publicly bet times of the year when it comes to our sports watching calendar.
And we don't even know the rosters.
Right. I mean, but that's the truth of the matter. American football by far is the most publicly bet sport in America. It's not even really close.
It just is. And that weaponization, you make such a great point there, Gabe. I'll try to get this in quickly. That weaponization, that was the screaming headline at one of the biggest sites for aggregating numbers, Paulson Sports Media, because they hate college football. I wish they would admit it.
But I certainly want to know some deeper dives into this when it comes to sports betting and how we sort of indulge on sports when it comes to that. Where does bowl season rank in regards to being watched in that light? So we will see. But even the worst of bowls, even the last of the last bowls, the Bahamas Bowl, drew 832,000 people to it. We can talk about bowl season opt-outs and NFL draft declarations and the rosters not being the same, but hey, eyes are still on it. That's the truth of the matter. Let's go ahead and get to hour number 2, though, on that note. And we'll start it talking some more betting. Speaking of wagering, Bruce Marshall's next from the Gold Sheet.
We say it all the time. Bell Tavern is one thing above all, a bar. It's a wood-paneled haven to have a signature cocktail or something from the widest selection of bourbon, whiskey, and scotch downtown by far. But Bell Tavern has one advantage other bars can't boast: access to the menu at 117 Prime. There are no other bars in Memphis, much less downtown, that offer machina beef carpaccio or a one-of-a-kind butcher's platter to go along with that perfect cocktail. Bell Tavern is above all a bar. It just happens to have some of the best food downtown.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles, ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at TriumphAutoSales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Football is here, and this season, my 46th as a professional handicapper. More than any season before, you need my help when it comes to sports wagering. The transfer portal has made it impossible for the average fan to keep up with college football. Take advantage of our experience, contacts, and information and get season service, college and pro football and college basketball for $1,000. Total cost, no add-ons or extra charges. Every play we make through the NCAA Final Four championship. 5 losing seasons in 45 years is a phenomenal record. Last season, 65.5% against the spread, including a 13-4 record on our 10-star plays. Call me, John Rainey, the Rain Man, at 901-461-4600. That's 461-4600, and get season service for $1,000. The Rain Man and All-Star Sports. You can't do any better.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-306-8158 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-306-8158. That's 800-306-8158. What do you have to lose? Call 800-306-8158. Again, 800-306-8158.
It's time to discover new roads in the new year at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Get ready to blaze new trails in the 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. We Gossett at $359 a month or buy for just $26,350. Gets 29 MPG highway. Or get ready to take your pick from 2022 Outlander or 2023 Eclipse Cross for just $399 per month. And you'll always get peace of mind in your new ride with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, $359 per month. 2022 Outlander or 2023 Eclipse Cross, $399 per month. You won't go wrong ever when you shop Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Sport PU 00100 MSRP 27100 Outlander NZO 84912 MSRP 32250 Eclipse PC 04373 MSRP 33335 includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
Bon appetit.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Hour 2 is upon us. Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and with Stats. I'm Gabe Kuhn. He's Brett. Stats Norsworthy. We do have a couple of texts about our last segment talking about just generally speaking the TV ratings during bowl season versus sort of the NBA on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I think there's some interesting stuff that Brett just brought up. We have a few texts. Somebody says, too much drama in the NBA, that's hurting viewership. Another person comes in. He says, the numbers mean money, and that's everything in sports these days. Completely agree with that thought as well.
And let me be clear. That was not an anti-NBA segment.
No.
That was comparative of numbers in the TV world. Again, back to my comments at 3:01 today. We love it all, and we're going to talk it all. But when I get lectured to, hectored by, criticized from, of too much this, not enough that, this is what people really want. I'm showing you what people really want and what people really like. And I'm going to show you last Saturday, Bucks and Heat, the first Saturday night game, it drew 1.3 million. Game day on Saturday morning with an old man with a goofy hat on draws that every week. That's what they average.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Let's just say it how it is. But at the same time, I'm not here to completely weaponize all these ratings. It's just facts. We're just speaking facts at this moment. Now let's go ahead on that note and bring in Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet to give you some picks and just talk about the sports world in general. Bruce, what's happening? How are you? Where are you about in the world?
Well, I am in the food court, Terminal A, Orlando Airport. How about that?
Okay, layover, or were you in Orlando hanging out?
We've been here all week, and
Okay.
we're heading back tonight, but with the grandbaby down here. So
Nice.
we've been here all week in Florida. Yep.
Well, Bruce, thank you so much for carving in time for us as you always do, and we love it. And you had a great week last week with us. And this weekend, many call it the best weekend of the year for the NFL. I don't know that I do. I really like opening day when we got 16 games, or opening weekend when we got 16 games. But this is good stuff. We've talked about defining moments. This is one for Dak Prescott, Jerry Jones, and Mike McCarthy, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I this is intriguing here because I'm a bit surprised that so many people seem to be on the Dallas bandwagon now, it seems like, because of that one effort against Tampa Bay. I will admit that did barely sneak under last week by like a half point.
You got there.
Yeah, and I did pick Tampa Bay to win, too. My bad, because I didn't think Tampa Bay was any good.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought Dallas might be worse.
Right.
That didn't end up being the case, and I think in retrospect, Tampa Bay was an embarrassment last week. And I swear any other NFC South team would have put up a much better fight. Carolina would have, the Saints would have, Atlanta would have. And I dare think only a couple NFC teams would have put up a worse fight than Tampa Bay did last week. That was an embarrassment. Todd Bowles is going to give Todd Bowles 2 years. He's going to get fired there. And they got rid of
No
Leftwich
doubt.
this week. You can see where this is going with them. And for Dallas to act and Jerry to act like he won the Super Bowl, I don't mind Jerry anymore. Jerry, I mean, as far as the NFL owners goes, he's far from the most objectionable. He's one of my favorites actually now. But to get all cocky about beating Tampa Bay and we're back and this reminds me of the '90s, I ain't buying it.
All right, now, Bruce, Gabe had a great comeback to me. I said all this on Tuesday, and I didn't take a shot at him. I said, but look how his grandchildren, man, they were partying like, they had just won a Super Bowl. Now, Gabe had a good comeback to that.
First road
for those children in their life, that's the biggest playoff win ever.
Yeah, they don't know that Super Bowl stuff. They don't know what that means. I mean,
they were barely a twinkle in the eye at the Rose Bowl in '92.
Yes, and one note for an old Bronco fan like me. I mean, Jerry's got his daughter's pretty sharp, and so is his son. They've been involved running the Cowboys.
Two sons. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, two sons, and his daughter too. They've been involved with the whole thing, and this is what Pat Bowlen should have done with the Broncos. He should have got his kids involved.
So true.
And Jerry's doing it the right way. Anyway, but let's go back to Dak for a second. This is consistent with Dak's career when he puts up some really big numbers in some games when everything is going right, and you can just look back, even this season. The Indianapolis game, the Minnesota game, and a few others where the Chicago game, everything is just working and he looks great. But when something goes wrong, this whole thing goes sideways for Dallas. And Dak is just one game removed from having a 7-game interception streak. He threw 3 pick sixes in the last 4 games. Comparing Tampa Bay to San Francisco is like comparing a jalopy to a Ferrari, especially on offense. Since McCaffrey came, this is one of the best supporting casts we've seen in recent cast of weapons with McCaffrey and Debo and Ayuk and Kittle. They all are home run threats. And Brock Purdy. I had to debate some of the guys in Dave Schultz in Mobile. They were kind of making fun of me this week. I said I think Purdy's almost got a case as the NFL MVP this year. He's been that good. And they said, no, I think he's just any quarterback in San Francisco. It's not as much Purdy. And I said, well, who's he playing for? It only matters. He's playing for San Francisco. And I guess Bart Starr then wasn't that good. It was only because of Green Bay, right? Right, saying that he's a perfect fit for San Francisco. And that defense is going to get Dak's face this week. I mean, Tampa Bay, I was so poorly prepared last week. Dak will do a little bit of business this week. They are not going to keep pace with San Francisco, and I think they get smoked. And all this stuff, Jerry and all them, they had their party last week. And I know Eagles fans and Giants fans are really happy Dallas won because they said that's going to mean he's probably going to keep McCarthy around another year. They ain't winning this week. I'm with Stephen A. Smith. 34-20, San Francisco. I'll lay the points and maybe look over as well.
So the one thing I'll ask you here on this game before I move on is the Cowboys led the NFL in pressure percentage, and so far with Brock Purdy, he's been great. He's been very good throwing to open receivers and putting the ball on them. That throw to Ayuk is probably his best throw ever, and it didn't get caught in the end zone. I was very sad to see that. But is there any concern about the Dallas front getting in his face and bothering him a little bit? Because it seems like to this point he hasn't had to deal with that at all.
Well, yeah, sure, that could be an issue. And Purdy has gotten away with a few passes the last couple of weeks, especially last week. I mean, he didn't have any picks, but he had a couple that could have been
early.
But what impresses me most actually are some incompletions that he has. He can get away from traffic and end up throwing instead of taking sacks or getting called for intentional grounding. The way he's composed enough to not make mistakes in the pocket. He does force a couple throws, but when he's on the move, he's able to wheel out of there and end up throwing incompletions that don't hurt the 49ers. Yep. I think he's showing great poise. He's getting better every week. And I laugh. I've heard some guys say, yeah, from what they see now, Purdy, I think he'd be a mid-round draft pick. Are you guys crazy? What are you guys watching here? I mean, he's played it better than any rookie quarterback this year. These are the same guys who said Johnny Manziel was a first-round pick, and Purdy doing all this is still only a mid-round pick. I don't know what's up with some of these draft nicks, but they are absolutely nuts.
Bruce, I don't either. In that NFL draft nick world, they will not admit, boy, we blew that one. We missed on that one. And I go back to when we had tanking for Tua. I took a picture of it. I tweeted it, and it was the Miami Dolphins scout. There's a local TV reporter here, anchor Mike Sadie at the CBS affiliate at News Channel 3, and he's a big Dolphins fan. And as soon as I said, Super Scout, he named him. And it was this guy who it was. He showed up to scout Tua at the Ole Miss-Alabama game that year, 2019. He didn't have an ink pen. He didn't have a notepad. He didn't have a laptop. He had nothing. All he had on was his Miami Dolphins golf shirt. He didn't make a note all day. His mind was set on Tua, and I think they do a really kind of not very deep dive on a lot of these players.
We see it every year, Brett, especially with quarterbacks, how many they have missed on. And you're right; these guys don't like to admit mistakes. I'm not going to throw Mel Kiper in there. I know Mel's pretty good. I mean, he'll admit,
me either. I think he's the best.
Yeah, he's the best. But some of these other guys, and the way they're so full of themselves with it. But if they can't see, and these guys in Mobile and Schultz's show is talking to as well, if they can't see what Purdy's doing, they're not watching the game. I mean, he's been a perfect fit for them. And yeah, it might unravel, but so far so good. I mean, you can't think that he's done anything wrong yet with the Niners.
I mean, this scout that day, he spent more time in the food line than he did watching the game.
But I will say, I like Mel Kiper Jr. I think there's some other guys off the beaten path that are pretty good. Dane Brugler's a guy who's been doing it for a while who I think's pretty good. But
mine's at Team Scouts.
Oh, you're talking about Team Scouts. Okay, yeah. I got you.
My criticism's at Team Scouts.
No, I tend to agree.
Man, they get locked in, and they're never dissuaded. Let's go in order. Jags Chiefs, first game of the day on Saturday.
Yeah, I think my analogy to the Bengals is still alive, though barely, from last week to last year's Bengals for the Jags. You got a teacher versus pupil thing with Doug Peterson and Andy Reid. Remember, Peterson was Andy's first quarterback when he was the Eagles coach, and then he worked on his staffs later. And by the way, here's when a team gets serious about hiring a coach. Forget the Urban Meyer stuff. They got serious. They hired Peterson. By the way, the team they beat last week should have taken heed. You want to experiment with a coach like Staley when you've got this window open to win. Get serious, Chargers. They're not doing it. They're keeping Staley around, it looks like, next year. Anyway, the Jags got serious. The mustache man hired Peterson, let him do his thing. It took a while, but like the Bengals last year, they hit their stride. Second-year quarterback who was the first pick. that was a dumpster fire in the first half for Trevor. But, man, he showed something coming back. And that defense was put in impossible situations, and they somehow kept that thing. Listen, when the punt bounced off the guy's head, and the Chargers had a chance to go up 31-0 late in the first half, I thought that's when the game turned around. They only got a field goal, and then Trevor got the TD right before halftime, and the game sort of turned around right there. So this defense has been making big plays during this entire 6-game win streak. I would point out, even though Kansas City won and covered barely that first game with the Jags back in early November, Jacksonville did come back. It was 20-0, and Trevor got him back in the game. And by the end, Kansas City had to kill the last 6 minutes of the clock just to keep that lead at 10. But Kansas City, in its 7 other home games this year, only covered 1. So they're 2-6 versus the spread at home. They consistently played at the level of the opposition. They're only 2-6 versus the spread their last 8. Throw out that last game against the Raiders. Stidham was at quarterback. The Raiders were out of it. They gave it their best shot the week before against the Niners. The Chiefs are not that dominant. This defense is not that good. Chris Jones is going to be a problem, though, for Trevor.
Yep.
But I like the weapons they've got and their resilience. And I'm telling you, these teams are off of buys. Kansas City 2 years ago had a lot of trouble with Cleveland. Last year, it was a great game at Buffalo. They're off the bye. They were fortunate to win that one. Green Bay lost off the bye last year against the Niners. This is not a must wager on the team with the bye. So I'm taking Jacksonville plus the points. I don't know if they can win. I'd like to see them win because I like Peterson and I like Trevor. But 30-27 Chiefs. So I think they win barely, and Jayville covers the spread.
Rest or rust. I love it. I love the conversations with the bye for the 1 seed. Now let's move on to the Giants and Eagles. This game, last game of the year, Jalen Hurts returned in Week 18, and this was a 6-point game at Philly. Now, granted, I saw a stat today about how the Giants haven't won a game in Philly since 2013, so that's certainly working against them. But I looked at this number, Bruce, and at first glance it was -7. It's moved to 7.5. That number just feels tricky in a lot of ways.
It does to me, too, and I don't know about the Eagles now. We've seen this before as recently as, say, 2 years ago when the Steelers looked unbeatable into December, and all of a sudden they started to lose ground and ended up getting knocked out in their first playoff game against the Browns. So they blew the home field that year, too. But you lose momentum in December, it's hard to get it back. Philadelphia lost momentum in December. After that, win over the Giants on December 11, 48-22. After that, they haven't covered a game. Jalen got hurt, we know. Minshew came in. But they haven't looked like quite the same team since then. And Jalen, he's not going to be 100%. He'll probably be better than he was 2 weeks ago, but that was a labored effort against Giants backups 2 weeks ago. I think New York is really live here. I think Daniel Jones has become a real quarterback. Still a little bit too much dink and dunk, but he's so far progressed under Daboll than he was previously. They've got Saquon healthy. By the way, Jones, his ability to run, he had 7 runs for first downs last week. I don't think a giant runner has done that since Frank Gifford. And
Steve Van Buren.
Yeah, I mean, he escapes from the pocket. He's a smart runner, too. And I think they are live as heck this week. And by the way, they're 9-1 against the spread on the road this season. So don't forget that. They won some close games, too. I think the Eagles are up against the wall this week. And if I didn't have relatives in Philadelphia, I'd say the Giants are going to win. Instead, I'll say 24-23 Eagles. That's how we wrote this up, but that's a clear vote for New York plus the points.
Wow, can't you just see it? Next week, Mike Francesa will join Chris Russo on Stephen A. Smith's show on First Take next week, and it will be great because you know Mike Francesa, if the Giants win and Danny Dimes plays great, you know he'll work in best Giants quarterback or in a debate with Charlie Connerly or Eli Manning.
Yeah, and we've got a lot to talk about. I mean, they'll overlook Phil Simms. They'll overlook a lot of them. But I think Jones has earned not just a franchise tag next year. I think they're going to sign him long term. That's my gut feel. So we'll see. That was the talk coming in.
I'm afraid he's the new Kirk Cousins, Bruce. I think he's Kirk Cousins. He's Mr. Blah.
Well, it could be. We'll see. This is the chance this week to establish himself. But I tell you, coming into the year, I thought Jones was done after this season. I didn't see any hope for him. But, man, you get a new good coach like Peterson with Trevor and Dable with Jones. Makes all the difference.
Yeah, and I will say the separation between him and Kirk Cousins, without a doubt, is the legs. And I will say, too, Brett and I, every time we see Daniel Jones run a QB power, a single happy tear drops out of our eyes. That's just beautiful football.
It's a Charlie Connerly move.
Backyard Pee-wee football running QB power. That's fantastic stuff. Now, moving to Sunday, Bengals-Bills, I guess I'll frame it this way. Both these teams last week struggled against opponents that were with backup quarterbacks, didn't seem to have a chance. Who is more likely to bounce back here?
I think the Bengals are, because I think they're the better team, although I am a little concerned they're taking a few too many hits on their offensive front.
Yep.
And they hadn't all year until like week 15, and then all of a sudden they're losing one guy a week. That concerns me. But I think Joe Burrow is he's my favorite Joe in the NFL since Montana. I think he reminds me of Montana a lot. Got a lot of moxie. This team has proven it can win on the road in the playoffs. Buffalo hasn't, by the way. Now, they don't have to this week. But the Bengals have – listen, Cincinnati Baltimore's a tough matchup with that defense. They are so rugged. And I know it was, they had to get a 100-yard fumble return. Okay, but they got it. They won. This game, the ill-fated game a couple weeks ago on the Monday, if I can say this, I think the Bengals were going to win that game. And I think that would have given them home field here, and they should be at home, and they believe that, and they felt a little slighted by what the NFL did. I know the NFL, somebody was going to get shortchanged with that schedule, what they had to do after that Buffalo-Cincy game a few weeks ago. It happened to be the Bengals because it cost them home field. And I think they'll use that to their advantage here. I don't know that Buffalo's playing all that well. I'm not sure that Josh Allen is 100%. He's making too many mistakes for my taste down the stretch here. They should not have had trouble with Miami last week, and in a desperate fight with that team. And that was 3 times this year they struggled with Miami. I think Cincinnati's a better team, and I'm surprised they're getting this many points. Bengals win this one outright, 27-24, and do what they did last year. By the way, they've covered their last 8 as an underdog, and depending upon when you bet these games the last 2 weeks against Baltimore, some people won both of those. If they did, that's 22-3 against the spread, their last 25 since last December.
Good stuff, Bruce. Straight up, Bengals win 27-24. Bruce, this is more of a summertime show, but don't let me forget this. Gabe, you and Brian, don't let me forget this summer. I want to discuss, if we could go back in time, can you imagine New York life in the 50s with the Giants, with the Yankees, with the baseball Giants, with the boxing, with the college basketball, with the Knickerbockers, with the college football played at Yankee Stadium? If I could go back in time and live somewhere in a decade, I think it was there. Last Friday at this time, you just kind of dropped in 3 college basketball winners on us, just boom, boom, boom like that. We'll take that again right now, Bruce.
Okay. By the way, Brooklyn Dodgers too. Remember that?
Brooklyn Dodgers. Yes.
There you go. Tonight I think I'm going to give St. John's another shot tonight. I think they are against Villanova. Villanova's struggling. St. John's, I think, has put some things together. Tomorrow early, Boston College is playing Notre Dame. We heard the Mike Bray news is going to retire. Notre Dame. This is the most incredible stat this year. They've been favored 14 times. They have covered the spread once as a favorite. Now, I don't know what's more remarkable, the fact they've only covered once as a favorite or that they've been favored 14 times. I mean, this team is not that good. So we've seen it all year. I don't think they cover again tomorrow against BC. And Florida and Mississippi State tomorrow, our first team to 45 wins. So I think that one's going to go. That's going to go under tomorrow. Is
Babe McCarthy back being the coach at State?
It seems like it. There's some of those scores. And Florida, by the way, Florida's been under like 8 in a row now, too. So low scoring tomorrow, Florida and Mississippi State.
So where do we find more of you, Bruce?
Thanks, Gabe. Check us out online, goldsheet.com. All these NFL games are written up. Every Tuesday we got more football. And then every day we got Gold Sheet basketball up there. We write up all these college games and the NBAs. Goldsheet.com, my picks are there, as well as at Vegas Insider and OnBest.com.
Safe travels to you, and have a good weekend, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Okay, boys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bruce. Good luck to you. And that was fun from Bruce Marshall. Some great picks, and I mostly agree with his picks, and I like those college basketball picks. Happy 2023 from everybody at All-Star Chevrolet, to all our great listeners out there. And you can go to All-Star and walk through the lot and see all the new Chevys that they have down Highway 78, Kraft Goodman Road to Olive Branch to All-Star Chevrolet. Well-qualified financing down to 2.99% on most of the Silverados and Equinox. If you want to order a new Chevy or come find the one you want, you can do it at All-Star. Ask for Kevin or Jeff or any member of that great team, or drive some of the All-Star Chevy certified pre-owned like the Z71 Silverados, Suburbans, Equinox, Malibus. Once again, Kevin and Jeff want to thank everyone who brought their cars or bringing their trucks or cars or SUVs to Olive Branch. They are still paying great cash for those vehicles, for whatever you want to sell. Making it easy for you is job number one. Even if you don't buy from them, or even if you owe money against it, bring any car or truck to All-Star Chevy and you can get your check today. If you need service or maintenance, call Jeff or Sean in the All-Star Chevy service department. Remember, it's not the Pike, it's not Collierville, Mount Moriah, Bartlett, or South Haven. It's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads to All-Star Chevy or go to allstarautogroup.com. Happy 2023 from everyone at All-Star Chevrolet.
Let's go ahead and grab a break. When we come back, it's time to talk with our guy, Ty Richardson. We have some Razorbacks to discuss, some SEC to discuss, football, basketball. That's when we return on Sports 56, 98.5.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkhardt, Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. Thinking about a new or used car or truck and not sure where to get the most for your money? Listen to what Sunrise has to offer. Over 800 new Buicks and GMCs to choose from, with factory rebates up to $1,000 and $15 million used car inventory, specializing in cars and trucks under $15,000. Bad credit, bankrupt, slow pay, it's okay. At Sunrise, we specialize in secondary finance. The #1 volume Buick GMC dealer in the Mid-South and home with a guaranteed credit approval. Sunrise, Covington Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville.
I'm Kelly Erb with Mark Spensdorf Realtors, and I just had to ask, Sheldon, did you really just buy a set of golf clubs and you never tried them out?
Yep, that's right.
And Sheldon, didn't you tell me whenever you buy a car, you never test drive it?
Again? Yep.
Don't you think that's pretty bizarre, since you always tell people to talk to 2 or 3 agents when they sell their home?
Yes, it is. I'm Sheldon Rosengarten, and I'm also with Mark Spensdorf Realtors with Kelly. It's funny, we tell people that you should always talk to more than one agent to find out not only what they think about your home, but more importantly, what they will do for you. And you really need to make sure and include us in the interview process.
I agree, because how are you going to find out about our strategic marketing program with the Shellbucks option? And as people often say, when you want the job done, call Sheldon.
That's Sheldon Rosengarten and Kelly Erb. Call or email us at memphisrelocate.com or 682-1868. Do it now, 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk, chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Forte PE 573, MSRP 21335, K5 LSX 00991 8857, MSRP 26805. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/2023 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Hey, Jeff, my man, are you ready to almost give away some new Kias today to start the new year off right at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. How about 41 MPG Highway and your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS, only $254 a month. 36-month lease, $27.99 due at sign.
Hey, Jeff, how about that new K5? That thing's awesome.
We got it at just $319 a month. 36-month lease, $31.99 due at signing. Plus, with all your new Kias, you know you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And if you don't see exactly what you want, I'll order it for you, and you won't pay over MSRP at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
Dad, come on, you're going to fall in the barbecue.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
There is a lot that has happened with the Hogs since the last time we talked with Ty Richardson, so we need to catch up on it. There's no question about it. He's the co-host of the Morning Rush, 6 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday at Hit That Line, Arkansas. You can find him on Twitter at Ty Sports Radio. Ty, what is happening, man? How are you?
Man, it's good. We got a little battle of the radio hosts tomorrow. Revs and Hogs, Budwalden Arena, both teams struggling. We'll see what happens.
Tied for last there in the SEC.
Ty, y'all be nicer than y'all were at football. Y'all broke out to 72 Dolphins against us at football.
Oh, man, that was a glorious night. I had some fireballs, some friends, and a great night. It was
so cold I needed some fireballs.
This it'll be a little warmer inside of Budwalden. Hopefully one team gets hot, and hopefully they're wearing red and white, but we'll see.
Tomorrow, 11 o'clock game for the Razorbacks, almost the perfect team coming in, you would think. But a loss to that team, then you would really reevaluate a whole lot. A win, maybe restart the season.
Yeah, this is where people are hoping that this team gets kind of a kickstart. Nick Smith is back with his team. He's going to be on the bench tomorrow, supported by one of my buddies, Kevin McPherson at Hogville. And I mean, they need something, man. This team's NCAA tournaments haven't been completely squashed.
Right.
But, I mean, you lose to Morrell and Ole Miss tomorrow, you might as well just park the bus because you're not driving anywhere anytime soon.
But it was just early in the season, right? I even bought into the Final Four, even potential top 10 talk. I was buying stock like crazy because of what I saw Trayvon Brazile do, and then I knew when Nick Smith Jr. got involved that team could be very talented and score at a high clip. They haven't shot the three ball well regardless, but I figured both those guys would be of help. But now you don't have Trayvon Brazile. And if Nick Smith Jr. is not going to be as consistent or doesn't play night in, night out, it just feels like it's just too much to overcome.
Yeah, and I thought Brett's made a really good point. When you lost Trevin Brazile and Nick Smith, it was like, well, the Final Four went away, and but now other teams look like they've gone away. If Nick comes back and he catches fire, like I hope he does, I don't know if he's going to, this team's still not a team worthy of going to Houston, Texas, but they can maybe make it to a second weekend, but it is a long road ahead. They've got to go to College Station, to Tuscaloosa, Knoxville, Rupp. I mean, there's some brutal road games down the stretch in their final 8 in SEC play. And they got to go to Baylor next weekend.
And I'm sorry this is kind of hitting Eric Musselman because back-to-back Elite Eight, that's very significant in 3 years, 2 out of 3 years to go to the Elite Eight, and it ratcheted up what everybody wanted. Arkansas, with other than Kentucky, I think the proudest basketball tradition in the SEC, and until Kentucky's football run, it had the proudest. It also had a very proud football one to go with it. But it is must win for the Razorbacks tomorrow against Ole Miss, 11 o'clock. Is Eric Musselman catching any fire?
Yeah, he has, Brett. And I think some of it's unjustified and unwarranted, and other parts of it are. I mean, you mentioned back-to-back Elite Eights. This team hadn't been in the Elite Eight since '95. This guy knows what he's doing, and he's recruiting at a really high level. They got 2 5-stars coming in next year, and they'll get some quality transfers like they always have. But when you start out conference play, the worst for one of only 3 times in SEC history, you're going to get some blowback, especially with all these preseason accolades. He's still trying to adjust and figure out. I mean, I wouldn't even if they were under 500 heading to the SEC tournament, I still wouldn't count them out because that guy can coach. It's just a matter of when they start catching and if they catch fire, and hopefully it starts tomorrow against Ole Miss.
It's just such a struggle. Like when I hear people go after Muss, even on the national scale, and talk about them being 1-5 in the SEC, I feel like there's a lot of context being left out. How many people in college basketball, I mean, even in college football with some of your star players, how can you lose your 4th leading scorer, who was your best bench scorer, and lose your 5-star recruit, number 1 player in the nation, point guard? How many teams can get through that? Not many. So we'll see what happens from here. But I'd imagine until they get Nick Smith Jr. back on the court and playing consistently, it's going to be a struggle from here on out. Now, on the football field, on the football front, Kendall Briles out. I guess I want to ask this first. How are Hog fans taking that? Obviously, a step seemingly down from Arkansas to TCU. Have they taken it in stride, or is it kind of a slap in the face?
Well, here's the question that needs to be asked. Is it really a step down anymore? And you say, well, the SEC is still superior to the Big 12. That's true, and the Big 12 is heading in a direction without Oklahoma and Texas that's going to even take a stop down. But guys, TCU won the national championship last year. Sonny Dykes did it in year 1. I mean, that's insane. And you could say, well, they barely won this game, they barely won that. They still beat Michigan in the college football playoff. They still had to prove their worth against what was supposedly the best Big Ten team and one of the best teams in all of college football. So I think when Arkansas fans look at that, they can say that. That's fine, whatever you want to believe. But I think Kendall is just ready to get back to Texas, and I think this being the second reported job offer in the last week and a half or so, I think it was maybe a mutual decision of sorts. It's like, hey, you probably need this your second time. You're trying to get a raise or an extension out of this. This is just speculation on my part. Maybe it's time you take that job. And he's going back to Texas. He's going to a place that's hopping with recruiting talent in the Fort Worth area. So I wish him nothing but the best. He's a huge part of Arkansas' success. Felipe Franks, KJ Jefferson, some big-time wins. I just hope that Danny Enos comes in and starts ripping the offense, and they just start getting after it in game 1.
Here's why Old Guard Razorback fans take a little offense at it. And, Gabe, I think you're right on the step down front. Yeah, TCU had that year this year. But if they're like me and they remember the Southwest Conference, 44 all-time Arkansas wins to 24 over TCU. That was a gimme every year.
Yeah, I remember when I went to the game, Brett, in 2016, and that was my senior year, and I had a bunch of friends that were 20, 30 years older than me telling about the old Southwest Conference days. And I didn't have a great history of the Horned Frogs and Razorbacks, but I mean, going there, kind of seeing some history being revisited and winning in the form of fashion they did off an Austin Allen speed option route in overtime to win the game after a Dan Skipper blocked field goal. It was awesome. Anytime you bring back old rivalries that haven't been played over an extended period of time, it's good for the sport. It's good for any sport. And so for Arkansas and TCU to have played back then and then kind of bring it up again with Briles departing Fayetteville and go to Fort Worth, it just kind of rejuvenates something that has been lost and departed for a number of years.
We went to a game one year at TCU, late night, Friday night in Dallas-Fort Worth area, and early game on Saturday morning at Amon G. Carter, and I promise you, it was like biblical. I mean, we were wondering what's going on. On one end of the field that the game wasn't being played on, the entire end of the field was covered in crickets. It was black. Total and I asked a friend of mine, I go, hey, I know we stayed out really late last night, but do you see all the crickets I see?
Oh, man, I had such a fun experience down there. And let me tell you something. Fort Worth houses some of the most beautiful women I have ever seen in my entire life. I was in Dallas one weekend,
right,
and it was the weekend that SMU and TCU played in addition to Arkansas and Texas A&M. I went out after the game, and you could not turn a corner without walking into just a beautiful woman. I was like, my gosh, just bury me alive here. Not to say there aren't those in Memphis, Tennessee, but with several places. But my goodness gracious, that was quite
Texas.
a weekend.
I probably offended her mother for that weekend we were there.
Hey, am I weird? So I remember when the news came down. I guess it was 2 days ago. I texted Brett and I thought there would be a lot more negative reaction to Dan Enos returning to Arkansas. Am I weird for thinking that, or I sort of thought the end of that thing was not great.
I like it, Ty, but I remember the high points.
Yeah, that's the thing. 2015, second best offense statistically in school history. Brandon Allen was on fire that year, had a great efficiency. Alex Collins, I think, had 20 touchdowns. But then you had Cole Kelly, the Louisiana Steamboat, in 2017, and that was an utter disaster. So
right.
it went. 2015 was like the mountaintop. 2017 was the bottom. It was bad. So there's a combination. And then he went to Bama and did things with Tagovailoa and Hurts.
Yep.
And Sam at Maryland, didn't have a great stint at Miami, but it's been really good and really bad. So fans are just like hoping for the best,
right,
hoping it gets kickstarted in the right direction.
And this is going to be a big prove it year for Sam Pittman, because I think in a lot of ways when you just look at that setup of how he had that program rocking, you had a really good defensive coordinator, really good offensive coordinator. He's the CEO guy. He's got to land on those coordinators, because he's not a play caller, and he doesn't really put himself out there in that light. So this is going to be massive prove it year, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Brett's issue was once some of his first staff left for better jobs or just leaving for lateral jobs or whatever, he didn't hire a great replacement,
including Sam Pittman.
Yeah, that's a big one, because Kurt Anderson, while he's been good at Northwestern, was abysmal at Arkansas. And
love
I'm not
Kurt Anderson, by the way, good guy.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Really good guy.
Cool.
Yep. Worked
That's
with
cool.
him in Chicago in my pre-draft process. Really good guy.
How about that? That's a wild connection. But on that subject, there were some guys that he hired that didn't pan out, didn't work out. Enos not being one of them. He had a great first year and then kind of took a downward spiral. So I think it's important, as you just laid out, Gabe. I mean, they've got to hit on these. You're hoping, for Arkansas fans' sakes, that Williams and Enos work out and really kind of hit the ground running the recruiting trail, because that's all what it's about right now. Arkansas's got to get some dudes, and they seem to do a good job thus far in the portal.
Ty, that 2017 season, Cole Kelly came into Oxford, and Ole Miss blew a big lead and lost 38-37 or so. And it's the only time I've ever done this. I really embarrassed myself post-game. I did. I shouldn't have done it. But it was the only time I ever called out a college player, and I said, we just lost to the worst winning quarterback in the history of the SEC.
Yeah, no, that was a Connor Limpert game-winning field goal. I remember that game well. Kevin Richardson, I think, returned a fumble to the house that day. We had no business winning that game. None. I still, to this day, that's probably the weirdest Arkansas win in the history of what I've been watching.
I let my fandom talk that day. I did.
I mean, that was a weird game. No, those Ole Miss Arkansas games, man. I know this year was kind of an anomaly, because if you look in the last decade or so, those games are tight. They're close, and they're dogfights.
They're great.
Yeah, they're great. And
let me tell you what the Razorback game ops people did this year at Fayetteville. You know, it was November 19th, so we're getting ready to start the Christmas season. The Razorbacks needed that win to get to 6, to get to bowl eligibility, and it was a festive scene, last home game of the year. And at some point in the fourth quarter, when you knew the only thing in doubt was the margin of the Arkansas win, they hit Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas, and the whole stadium belted it out. It was great.
Yeah, that was like I said, that was a great night. I had not seen several of my friends for the first time in over a year or so. It's just a reunion. There's so many Ole Miss Arkansas connections between Memphis, Tennessee, and Little Rock, and really towns in between. So that's a game. While it's not Arkansas's biggest rival or Ole Miss's biggest rival, it is a game that means a lot to a lot of people.
Now, we got Brett sitting right here. You know we have discussed this, and I want to holler at you about it. I want to get your opinion. What do you think about this rebuilt Ole Miss quarterback room that they have going? Walker Howard and Spencer Sanders back-to-back days.
Yeah,
we got everybody but Clint Sterner in there.
Yeah, and Dart's saying, like, how is Lane Kiffin convincing all these guys that are supposedly transferred to get playing time that they're all going to play?
Spencer Sanders is going to play H-back. That's my explanation. That was one of the biggest stories I saw in SEC football this week. The fact that he pulled in not one, but two guys out of the portal quarterback-wise. I mean, Dart had a bad game against Arkansas. I've seen him play a lot better this year. I don't know if it's a cold one. I know he's a Cali kid, but that's going to be a fun spring and fall to hear about, Brett, on who's kind of got the edge there at QB.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and I still am blown away by the Spencer Sanders decision and how that sort of came about.
I guess. I mean,
fifth year, you'd think he would want playing time in his fifth year.
You know, the old saying, you got two, you don't have one. What about when you have three?
I don't know.
We don't have a saying for that, Brett. We don't have a saying for that.
It comes. I mean, Ole Miss is going to be. They're going to be tough to beat, man. I think that Kiffin wants to beat Saban so bad. He hires Golden, like he just wants to beat Saban. He could care. He could lose the 11 other games on his schedule, but to beat Saban, I think that he'd be happy.
Yeah, I don't think everybody else would be happy with that, but maybe for that one weekend, people would be enthused with the program. But always appreciate it, Ty. Great stuff as always. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, Ty.
Yeah, all as well, boys. Thank you.
You got it. Ty Richardson with us every Friday talking all things SEC and the Razorbacks. It's time now for our Gould Salon Spa style segment, GouldSalonSpa.com. That's where you need to go, GouldSalonSpa.com, because we're getting closer and closer to that day of love at Valentine's. And it's the perfect place for the perfect show of your love, whether it's for your husband or for your wife or a coworker or a friend or a daughter or a son or whomever. Go to GouldSalonSpa.com. That's where you get that gift card, the perfect size, the perfect color every single time. Exclusive to our area, the best any holiday gift for any season is Gould's gift card, the best spa packages, salon products, and those gift cards, they are the hit. There's a Gould's very close to you, from downtown to out east, all points in between, including at Overton Square, part of the Renaissance of the Square. All those great locations. It's a family operation, sons, grandsons, granddaughters, valuable associates, from a small hair salon to today's juggernaut. Upscale ambiance, chic style that once was considered a Hollywood luxury. We have it right here all the time, every day at Gould's. Gould Salon and Spa. They've been turning heads since 1932, 91 years of exemplary service. Mr. Sam Gould had a dream to provide his clientele with a truly professional and unique fashion experience, and it's been realized. And those Gould's gift cards, the perfect gift for any season. Go to GouldSalonSpa.com. That 700 club the Grizzlies are a part of. Take a ride on that and improve it tonight in Tinseltown. That's my Gould Salon Spa style for this Friday.
Yep, and for me, I think it's very, very simple. It goes to Coach Prime at Colorado this offseason. I don't know if we look at the history of college football, if we've seen someone take a job this quickly. Certainly we haven't seen someone go from HBCU to Power 5 this quickly. That's never happened. But to see someone go to said Power 5 that was 1-11 last year and get all these recruits this offseason. Yesterday, the number one recruit, cornerback recruit, Cormani McClain, commits to Colorado, and now you just can't deny the work that Coach Prime's doing. He has two number one cornerback recruits back-to-back years. Travis Hunter last year, who then transferred to Colorado, and now Cormani McClain. Those guys on opposite sides from each other. I don't know what the expectation should be going into year one. A lot of people say bowl game, but I know one thing. I feel like Colorado will be massively improved, and I think they have Coach Prime to thank for that. But let's go ahead and get to our final break of hour number 2. When we come back, we talk about Grizzlies at Lakers. We'll be right back. Sports 56, 98.5.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The new year has begun, and Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike is starting the year right with a Start Something New sales event. How about 1.9 for up to 72 months? Plus, you may qualify for $2,000 bonus cash and $500 Conquest bonus cash towards your new 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. Get 2022 Jeep Renegade Sport 4x4, $399 a month, or buy it for $28,990. You got a need for speed? We Gossett in 2022 Dodge Charger XSD, $470 a month. But if you can't find exactly what you're looking for, we can get your dream car ordered today. No extra charges, no market adjustments, no more than MSRP at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett on the Pike, or shop online GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motorcars.
Cherokee P879072, MSRP 55432, 1.972 months. Trade or own any non-Stellantis vehicle. Must own for a minimum of 30 days and have a current registration to qualify any 2023 Cherokee offer. Renegade NPN 79312, MSRP 30,080. Charger NH261941, MSRP 35630. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 1/31/2023. Dealer stock only.
Golfers, tee it up this Thursday through Sunday at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the Callaway Fitting event and be the first to score the new Paradigm woods and irons. The woods are engineered with forged carbon to maximize distance and forgiveness. The irons feature a forged face for increased launch speed and spin. A new paradigm in performance. Go to worldwidegolfshops.com and reserve your free custom fitting experience happening this Thursday through Sunday. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
I think this is the best chicken I ever had.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Grizzlies go for 12 in a row tonight, and they could join a club that only 2 other teams in history are a part of, where they have a win streak of 12 and have scored 115-plus points in each of those games. They're at 11 right this second. They could tie the 1959 Celtics, who won the NBA championship that year. K.C. Jones, Bob Cousy, Bill Russell, and the gang, and then also the 1982 Nuggets. They did not win the NBA championship. They ended up getting knocked out by the Spurs in the Western Conference semifinals. But this team, what they've done on this stretch, they have taken advantage of some bad teams, but they've taken advantage in some good ways. They've found their way defensively. They've found their way offensively, no question, again, scoring 115 points, plus points in each game of the streak. But they have found something that I going into this season with Jaren Jackson Jr., with all these injuries, I don't know if a lot of people thought that they could find.
How big on a 1 to 10, with 10 being nuclear warhead being detonated and a 1 just being player introductions, what's the ranking for a stunt Pat Bev pulls tonight?
I mean, he's gonna try to bother the hell out of John Morant. I don't know if he'll pull a stunt.
Give me what he does. If he injured him, that'd be a 10.
Yeah, that would be a 10. I think a technical is in order, right? A technical, especially with all this Darvin Ham, with all this Darvin Ham discussion of trash talking and bringing out the best in the Lakers, right? I mean, there's gonna be some back and forth.
I mean, he's a walking 6, isn't he?
Yeah, basically. So you're saying just one technical is a 2. That's it.
Yeah.
What about a 2 technical ejection? What about a 2 technical ejection?
That's 5.
That's a 5. Okay, then what? Okay, explain to me. What do you think? 1 to 10. What are we looking at for Pat Bev?
All right, 6 is 2 techs and a flagrant elbow. 7, 2 techs and an overhand right.
Okay,
I agree.
Right. 8's 2 techs
right.
and
8's the straight right.
And kneeing somebody in the crotch.
And then 9 is a 2-piece. 2 techs and a 2-piece.
And then 9's international incident.
Malice in the Palace.
That's past 10. That's 12. That's 15. Whatever
I
you
don't
want to
know.
call it.
Yeah, it is Pat Bev we're dealing with.
But I mean, this you remember this last year, in one of the Grizzlies' trips to L.A. This was the Bane and LeBron have some respect game. When in reality, the truth of the matter is, I don't know how much you should respect these Lakers this year. They've been better as of late, and they've stayed afloat, and they look like they could get into the play-in. But this team is just not good without Anthony Davis on the floor.
Always respect LeBron. Always respect looking up in those rafters at Crypto.
Of course.
But the ones on the floor after that, not much.
Do I respect outside of LeBron?
You know I didn't know you were bringing up 59 Celtics. And I got it right. Jim Luskatoff was on that team. I got the whole roster up in front of me now.
We bring up respect. And, okay, if Anthony Davis is on the floor, I think there's a little more respect you'd add. But outside of LeBron, it's Thomas Bryant, Troy Brown Jr., Pat Bev, and Dennis Schroeder as the other starting 4. Come on. I mean, in the grand scheme.
I have none for any of them.
Of NBA. I mean, Dennis Schroeder
screwed up
Russell
his
Westbrook. Complete
Westbrook
contract situation. He thought he was going to get a big bag, and that didn't work out, so he signed for 1-year deals the past 2 years. And then off the bench, Juan Toscano-Anderson, who, by the way, was a Warrior, so I guess there's a little bit of
NBA
vitriol
champion
there. But Wenyen Gabriel, Max Christie, Kendrick Nunn, I guess Russ. You have some historical respect, but as of now, Russ is not really who he was. A little bit of a shell of himself. But I also I have to say, when it comes to sports hating, and just a sports hate, my friends that are Lakers fans, I love my friends that are Lakers fans, but it's always fun to see Twitter erupt with Lakers stuff when there's a primetime game, a nationally televised game, just to see the Lakers fans go through it. Isn't it great? Isn't that always
it is.
I just always just love the chance that that's going to happen. And they always live tweet it, and everything has to be broken down game for game over an 82-game schedule. This isn't right. That ain't right. Lakers
and they
fans
want to crack on Memphis.
Yeah, it's small market. Small market here. They're a large market, so they definitely have that thought process about them. But I think this small market team is substantially better, and they're, according to Vegas, 6.5 points better tonight. So we'll see, even on the road. What happens? Zaire Williams, by the way, questionable with a non-COVID illness, but he did participate in shoot-around, so I think it's likely that we will see him tonight. Hour number 3 is on the way. Let's go ahead and transition from NBA basketball, from the Grizzlies to the Tigers. And coming up next, Jason Munz will join us.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Do you want a greener, more weed-free lawn? If you're like me, you can't stand the sight of dandelions, clover, or especially crabgrass. Hi, I'm Brandon Hawley, president of Lawn Solutions. We are your locally owned and operated weed control and fertilization company. We are also experts in disease and insect control on your lawn and landscape. Our uniformed technicians are full-time, year-round licensed and certified by the state of Tennessee. Lawn Solutions' personalized service is far more superior to that of national companies that promise but simply cannot deliver. We return phone calls, we keep appointments, and we want your business. What we will not do is bother you with endless phone calls or junk mail. Lawn Solutions will not sell you something your lawn doesn't need. If you're looking for a local lawn care company to kill your weeds and feed your grass, then Lawn Solutions is the finest. Call us at 867-5626. That's 867-5626. Or go online at lawnsolutionsinc.net. From our family to yours, we want to thank you for your business.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Willoshin here for Homer Skelton Hyundai. I love to brag about my friends right at the corner of Highway 78, Lamar, and the first exit in Mississippi, Craft Road. They always come up with some innovative program that makes you want to just go out and get your brand new car. And I'm talking Hyundais. Right now, you can get a new Santa Fe. You can get a new Tucson. You can get any brand new Hyundai, state-of-the-art technology. You can get that without paying for 3 months. You've heard me correctly. You can get a brand new Hyundai and not pay for 90 days. This just started. It's going all the way through January. You could say a Christmas present, a holiday present from Homer Skelton Hyundai. Again, make your deal and then don't worry for 90 days about paying the very first payment, and only at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
When you see a City of Memphis service vehicle such as solid waste or code enforcement, slow down, yield, or move over. You can help save a life. Move over, Memphis. Let's help keep them safe.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
This is a damn fine automobile, if you want my honest opinion.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
You know what it's time for? It's time for some Tiger Talk with our guy Jason Munz at Munsley on Twitter. Tiger basketball beat writer for the hometown newspaper, The Commercial Appeal. He joins us now via the phone line. Jason, what's happening, man? How are you?
Good day, gentlemen. How are you?
Good day to you.
We're great, Jason, and we were talking way back earlier today. Why are people so aggravated with the Tigers and kind of this nervous energy and the kind of dour and gloomy they're right where I thought they would be. I don't know what I thought the net would be on Friday, January 20th, but if you'd have told me 14-5 and 43 net, I said, okay, have fun, come NCAA tournament time.
Yeah, like it's I can't tell you guys how many people, even in my even in the text group thing that I got going on, like how many people will have said to me just over the last couple of weeks, you know, like, I'm going to stay a part of this, but I'm going to mute it and just like wake me up in late February. Like, people are just kind of, if it's not boom, you know, like they don't want to hear about it. Like, I think personally, I think it's the frustration. Like this team is like, you know, they play close games. They lose games they probably shouldn't, or at least in people's minds, you know, that they shouldn't. Games where they're favored, such as Tulane. And I think I think it really gets to people. It gets their blood pressure, you know, super high, and they just don't want to have to deal with it, you know, like. So that's what I think it is. I think it's more people are so frustrated that just with the style of play and the way the games go and this and that they're just like, I still love the Tigers, but I can't be devoted as, you know, like I'd like to be. Otherwise, I'm going to have a heart attack.
It's wild, Jason, because I keep bringing up this foil. Last year at the same time, they were 9-8, and we had the press conference that was heard around the world. And
1 year ago today, gentlemen.
Really?
1 year ago.
See,
today.
I'm glad I'm bringing it up. But 14-5 is a far cry. It's a substantial amount better than where they were at this point last year. Now, that team ended up getting everything right, went on a run, swept Houston, did all those good things. I don't know if people think about the upside the same way with this team, but this team, based on their out-of-conference schedule and how they've managed thus far, they've been better. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. They're more together.
And we're not going to ask you any of those blankety-blank questions.
Yeah. So are we saying to these Tiger fans that, you know, have kind of checked out a little bit, stop disrespecting the Tigers, bro? Like, is that what we're...
Well, no. I mean, listen, I know
well, there's some blankety-blanks in there somewhere.
There's always going to be nervous energy because I think the out-of-conference schedule, how they managed it versus what they've done in conference has been rough. But last night, I mean, you're still going to see a little bit of doom and gloom, but last night was, I mean, a sight for sore eyes. Correct me if I'm wrong. The shooting, the rebounding, all better.
What, 11 made 3-pointers, which is
over 50% from three. It's insane.
Kendrick Davis hit 4. Keontae Kennedy hit 4. DeAndre Williams went off.
Yep.
29 points, 15 rebounds, a few steals and a block or two mixed in there. KO had a rebound. He actually had 3.
There we go.
So,
yes.
like, stop the presses. It was funny. I got there, you know, I get there a couple hours early before every game, and KO was like working with Joey Dorsey on cool. like boxing out, and I recorded it and I put the video clip out on Twitter. But like right after that, Kendrick Davis walks out, and he was in a very good mood, and he was laughing. He said something to the effect of, you know, like, hey, KO, please at least get 1 rebound. That way Joey can kind of take a day off. You know, and like they all laughed and KO laughed. You know, I think he understands that a guy his size cannot play 18 minutes of basketball and get 0 rebounds against a team like Temple that doesn't have, you know, doesn't have a Jalen Duren, for crying out loud. And so, but yeah, it was funny. But no, I mean, 5 blocks from KO.
Yep.
And like, you know, with like 2 minutes left, a minute and a half left, Memphis is up 15 or something. They ended up winning by 10, but that game was well in hand, you know, kind of from the 7-minute mark in the first half till the end.
Yep.
So, yeah, I agree with you. Like 14-5, 4-2, 43 in the net. They're 10 in Jerry Palm's bracketology at 10.
Who had them out, which is worth mentioning.
10
right.
USA Today.
Lunardi has them in. Like everybody.
No, I'm sorry. 7 at USA Today. Selby was Shelby. 7 was Shelby Mass. 7.
So so high on the Tigers, Shelby Mast is. But
the potential in his bracket of a second-round matchup with Tennessee, please, Lord, make that happen.
I know, isn't that great?
Because Jason, it would melt this radio station. It would melt it would melt your website. It would be so good for all of us. Please let it happen.
I know, bring it on. Let's do it. But
we want a good story, don't we?
Yes, we do. We always do. But I just feel like, people are just kind of waiting on the other shoe to drop. And, you got Cincinnati coming up, and everybody knows, everybody, all the fans know what Cincinnati can do to rip your hearts out. And Landers Nolly is, leading the way over there. And people have this, this envy, whatever, fill in the blank envy of those who've left Memphis and are doing well in their new digs, and so I don't know. I don't think Memphis is going to win this Sunday. I think Cincinnati is on their home floor. Cincinnati is one of those teams that's it's not necessarily feast or famine, but they are kind of a schizophrenic team. But they're playing well right now. And, Landers is going to want to drop 30. And so,
he sure is.
Memphis is shorthanded and everything else. So we'll see. It's going to be, and Wes Miller is a fine coach.
And here I go talking out of both sides of my mouth. I just say, the Tigers are 14-5. They're in a better spot than they were last year at this time. But here's the other side of that. Still, say they lose this game, everything's still relatively fragile with these next 6 games. If you take one or more losses that you weren't supposed to.
I think if let's say they do lose to Cincinnati on Sunday, I think that will put them back on the wrong side of the bubble, but barely. And that's even a maybe. Cincinnati's 83 in the net. If they win, if Cincinnati beats Memphis on Sunday, that game will turn into a quad one game immediately, or I would think. Mm-hmm. All they got to do is get into the top 75, and I would think beating the 43 team in the net, depending on how it looks, will bump you up into that top 75. Because, like I said, they're at 83. So that, taking a quad one loss on the road, as we've seen, it's happened twice now to Memphis with Tulane and 3 times actually with Tulane, Alabama, and UCF. It hasn't hurt them tremendously. So I don't think that they're that fragile just yet.
Okay.
But yes, outside of that, you just have to pretty much win everything with the exception of Houston the rest of the way. If you lose Sunday. If you beat Cincinnati, then you might have afforded yourself a little bit more wiggle room, but you cannot lose at home from here on out.
Yep.
And that includes Tulane and UCF. You just can't do it. And Cincinnati, because Cincinnati's going to come back to Memphis eventually. So yeah, it is. They are still kind of walking the tightrope here, but a win Sunday, will potentially by the end of the season be another quad one win for Memphis if they can get it. And so that would be a big shot in the arm.
Jason, I'm going to clean this story up for family radio, but in 1974, USC came to Little Rock to play Arkansas in football at War Memorial, and Jimmy Johnson was defensive coordinator for Coach Frank Broyles that year, and USC had a great tailback, Anthony Davis. Arkansas had a linebacker from Mariana named Dennis Winston, went on to play for the Steelers. And Jimmy Johnson told him, if Anthony Davis goes to the hot dog stand, you put the mustard on for him. You be with him for every play. That's not what he said, but I cleaned it up for radio. Who would Penny Hardaway say if Landers Nolly goes to the hot dog stand, you be there to apply mustard for him? Who would he assign to shut his water down Sunday?
Well, that is an excellent question because I think that's going to be. I mean, but is that going to be can you do that? You got Jeremiah Davenport who can shoot the lights out. You got Micah Adams-Woods.
Is it worth selling out to embarrass Landers to maybe hurt you team wise?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a very good question. if that is the strategy, the game plan, then I would say I'd like to say Demarie Franklin, but like the way he's played the last couple of weeks, I'm just not sure. If he's quite ready for that. Not that Landers is like the most athletic or the shiftiest or whatever, but he does have a quick release. So I would say, whoever can get their hands up the fastest, whether that's Elijah McCadden, Demarie Franklin, let's see, who else is possible? I guess that's it. Those would kind of be the only two
right
now. I mean, I don't think Jonathan Lawson is quite ready to do that, ready to take on that assignment. But maybe here and there, maybe
in the first half.
Yeah, maybe here and there you might mix it up a little bit. But I would say it's going to be.
So it may not
Demarie
be one person assigned to it by committee.
Yeah, right. That's true. You might stick Kendrick Davis on him a little bit, or shoot, maybe it's DeAndre Williams. You have the two former tag teamers who came in together a few years ago at Memphis and kind of were the running mates. Maybe it's him, but I would say, I feel like Penny has said it before. Demarie Franklin is as good of on-ball defender as Alex Lomax is. So maybe it's time to actually find out if that's true or not.
If you're Penny Hardaway and you're going through meetings, you're talking over the film and watching Cincinnati, what's the one statistical category that you're pointing at? Is it 36.5% from three? Is that the one that you're talking about neutralizing immediately?
Yeah, they really can't shoot the lights out, and they're at home, and that's one of those things. Memphis obviously struggles to contain 3-point shooting, and they are very good at 3-point shooting. So I think that's going to be the primary focus. They got Victor Locken, who's the 7-footer or 7+ footer in the middle, but I feel like, I don't know if he's going to put KO on him or if he's going to let DeAndre take that assignment. We'll see how that plays out, but it's the 3-point shooting.
What's the injury situation with Malcolm Dandridge and Jaden Hardaway? I know Alex Lomax. I know that's a completely different injury discussion to have right now. But I know he said that they were out for Wichita State. But is there any chance that they return maybe with a snap count, if you will, a minute restriction?
It feels like, based on some of the stuff that Penny's been saying the last few days, that Jaden, taking all the context clues into consideration, it sounds like Jaden is likely to play on Sunday. Now I don't know whether that means he's going to be limited or not, or if they've been waiting for him to be completely and fully healed. So that remains to be seen, but it does sound like he's going to play and be available. Malcolm, I don't think is going to be available. Okay. I asked Penny point blank, Friday, was it? No, today's Friday. Wednesday. I asked him point blank because he said definitely he was not playing against Wichita State. And I said, does that mean, is Sunday still too soon? And he said, yeah, probably still too soon. So if he plays, then Penny's been upping his gamesmanship. Going to try and pull a fast one in Cincinnati. But so far in 4+ seasons, Penny has not, he's usually stuck to his word when he's talking about injuries. So,
and this will be the last Memphis Tigers men's basketball trip to play the Bearcats probably for a while. I don't see that as a non-conference game. This one in Houston, it will really hit it's exit time for them.
Yeah, right. It hit me last week when I went to Orlando for the second time this season. That was probably my last time there for quite a while. Didn't necessarily bust me up at all. Orlando's great, but
these will hit different.
Yeah, let's shake things up and go to Boca. Start doing spending some time in Boca with FAU, but yeah, it's gonna be like the non-conference is going to be as important as ever, possibly in program history. you know, on a consistent basis from now, and until further notice, just because, the teams that are coming in, like Rice is having an okay season. FAU's obviously, I think they're ranked, and they're way up in the net. But that's like a one-off. They're usually not very good. So, it's kind of a bummer. Cincinnati's such a storied rivalry, and Houston has become such a competitive and high stakes thing, and such great games. I mean, seriously, just over the last 3 or 4 seasons, there have been some classics between Memphis and Houston. So it is kind of sad.
So with DeAndre Williams at this point, I have gotten to the and I guess I'm giving Tigers fans a little bit of advice. I want to hear from you if this advice is fair. Now, I understand he had 29, 15, 2, 3 steals last night, but I look at nothing else besides minutes played for him at this point, and he had 35. And I feel like that's where I'm at with him, because I feel like the points, rebounds, assists, if he's on the floor for 30-plus minutes, will come, but he's got to be out there.
Okay, so you're saying that, more important than anything is the minutes.
Yeah, have him on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's fair because, occasionally you'll get one of those weird ones. I think it's UCF. He played 30 minutes or so, 25, 30 minutes. And
2
only
OT
scored 10
game,
points.
too, right.
Yeah, he only scored 10 points. So, occasionally you'll have that. But, yeah, I would think, and this is a good homework assignment for me, I would like to, or whoever wants to do it, let's see how many times, what his averages are when he plays 30 or more minutes a game.
Right.
I bet it's really, really good.
That's insane, right?
And so that'll be, I'm going to do that. I think you gave me a fun Friday night project. Yeah,
there we go.
We love assignment. We're assignment editors on this show, Jason.
Well, listen, and you're great at it. You're absolutely, the two of you are great.
We're
at
idea
it.
guys.
Thank you.
So
we want somebody else to do the work, but we'll come up with a good idea.
Right, exactly.
I'm going to dig into that before I hit the road bright and early tomorrow.
Don't tell me you're driving.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
Okay.
Love
Whoa.
it. I am a road warrior. I'm going to make it, got it all mapped out.
Hours and minutes? What are the hours and minutes? Do we have the map quest sheets printed out, or are we on to Apple Maps?
You're going to get a lot of Kentucky.
I got my console Garmin all charged up and ready to go.
Rock on.
No. Yeah, it's 7.5 hours. I'm stopping in Louisville to have lunch with a former colleague. I guess Lupper, a late lunch, early supper. And then might hit up Grimey's in Nashville before that. Record store.
That's cool. Now, food-wise, I really have to ask this question, and yes, depending on the answer,
Cincinnati.
Depending on the answer, I may judge you. For the first time, Jason. Are you a Skyline chili guy? Have you had it? And
never once.
Okay, good.
Not once.
Don't do
Never
it.
Once.
Don't
it's
do
hideous.
it. It's
and
an
I love
abomination.
chili.
It is an abomination.
Yeah, I was. It was funny. I don't know if I saw it on Twitter or where I saw it. But somebody, it was because the trip was coming up, and somebody was like, "How can you? Who claims chili as theirs, as the owners and the originators of chili?"
If you had, they're not the originators of chili. They're originators of their chili, and the secret is, I think there's cinnamon and chocolate, or not. I don't know if it's chocolate, cocoa, whatever it is, but there's cinnamon in their chili. I don't know about you.
They've ruined more chili than they put out good.
And also, it's not that hearty chili. It's just runny and nasty looking.
My go-to for chili, Jason's Deli.
Oh,
thank you.
There we
Thank
go.
you. Mine too. Texas style beanless. The way I like it. I've been to chili. I've been to chili festivals that I didn't know would be in this town, and I've shown up at them. It's one of my favorite foods, and it's the Chili Town USA, and it's hideous. Now Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse, and it's great.
Now, one suggestion though, if you're into dessert though, Grater's ice cream. Grater's ice cream is about as good as an ice cream shop as you could possibly get. I don't know I don't know if you're an ice cream guy, lactose. We know people have issues with that, but
I like milkshakes more than I like.
I think they can grind one up for you. I don't see
Okay.
why they wouldn't be able to.
Jason, when you travel like that, do you go satellite radio, or do you go local radio, town to town, taking you to a town, or do you have something you prefer to listen to? Are you loaded up on pods or what?
All right. Well, I know you guys are radio guys, but like I can't remember the last time outside of talk radio in the city of Memphis,
Right.
the last time I turned on a radio station for any.
Okay.
Like I have up until about 2 years ago, I had the iPod Classic, like the like from like 15 years ago, and I converted to an iPod Touch. They don't make anymore. About 2 years ago, and I've got it loaded up with my entire collection. So I'm like over 30,000 songs, and I put that thing on shuffle, and I put it on the Bluetooth, and I roll.
Well done.
That's a good way to ride.
Now, I did for Christmas. My lovely wife, who knows me better than anybody, got me the latest Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, like big vinyl box set that they just
Great
put out
wife.
from their 20-night run at the Fillmore back in 1997, and that was the one time I didn't put it on shuffle. Like I just put it on because it was like 75 songs or something, and so I forget what road trip it was, maybe New Orleans, and I just put that and listened to it the whole ride down. But otherwise, outside of special circumstances like that, it is shuffle, iPod Touch, the whole way.
That old iPod, probably you could sell it as an antique at this point. It's like are we talking first gen iPod right here?
Yes, we are,
My
and
gosh.
I ain't selling that thing. Like that thing is
eBay.
like-
I wonder what it goes for on eBay just for the just having it. I mean, I
All
don't
right,
think there's
Jason.
many of those in rotation
Get
anymore.
your phone handy. Tell me the last song you downloaded on iTunes.
On what now?
On iTunes, last song.
Apple Music, whatever you use.
I don't.
Whatever
do that.
music.
I am a physical music snob. I do not download music. Period. I don't do it unless it's like not available on a physical, on a physical release, and I want it. Like I refuse to do it. I've got shelves upon shelves upon stacks of CDs still, and like my vinyl collection is growing, and so like that's my my personal preference. Personal preference. Like right now, it's obviously turned down, but I'm on shuffle right now in the car, and from Boston's third album, released in 1994, it's called "Walk On." The song "Surrender to Me" is playing, and like it's there's no rhyme or reason for what comes on next. Let's see what's next. Oh, this is Yola Tango. And the song is called "I Threw It All Away," and it's from the album President Yola Tango.
Okay, Yola Tango. Not familiar.
Yeah.
Not familiar with Yola's work.
Well, they're like a great indie band from New York, and they're actually in February releasing like their 20th album. So they've been around for a while, but like they're one of those under the radar sort of folksy indie rock type of bands.
I get you. Well, we'll let you get back to it then.
Great stuff. Love knowing that. I really do, Jay. I knew I liked you.
And travel safe. Have a good weekend. All that. We appreciate you joining us.
All right. Talk to y'all next week.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it, Jason.
And be safe. Jason Mons, the great reporter covering all things Tigers basketball on the beat for the paper of record, The Commercial Appeal. This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Online at DeSotoAutoSales.com, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. You walk in and you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, down-home environment. They care about your time, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. They know we live in a world today where time really matters. That's why they have it so simplified, so streamlined, so efficient. They've got it down. You find the car you want, credit approved, paperwork completed, you're out of there in 45 minutes or less. It's a guarantee. at DeSoto Auto Sales, where all the cars are thoroughly examined, bumper to bumper, head to toe, test driven, and checked out. And they have every make and model you can imagine at DeSoto Auto Sales. Go online, look at all the cars, and look at the testimonials at DeSotoAutosales.com. But better yet, sometime this weekend, get to 5704 Goodman Road to DeSoto Auto Sales. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
I mean this seriously because I think that was a great conversation with Jason, and he's got my head spinning a tad bit. When was the last time y'all saw a first-generation iPod in the flesh, like just like in your hand? I mean, it's been a decade plus. Easy. And he said he graduated from that 2 years ago.
All right, real quickly for you guys, what's the last thing you downloaded on any music where you consume from?
Let's see. Let me check it out.
Mine's Cruising by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles.
It's taking a little too long to open here. There we go. There's a I haven't even listened to the song, but I downloaded some Party Next Door. You're probably not familiar with Party Next Door.
By what artist?
That's Party Next Door. Yeah,
What's the song? I'm sorry.
The song is Her Old Friends by Party Next Door.
All right. Brian, were you familiar with that?
I know the artist. I don't listen to him, though. My last download was Tyler Childers' latest album.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Him and Zach Bryan do it better than anybody else.
Debatable.
Well, and here goes Brett. Why does he always does it?
This is my favorite part of the show is when Brett decides to play music.
Well, we're late to the break. On that note, honestly, this is going to be good bumper music to get to the break. When we come back, we have to make some picks. You've heard Bruce Marshall make some picks. Alan Bell makes some picks. Time for us to make our picks on the other side. Friday Football Forecast is next.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
This week at Macy's, get an extra 20% off with your coupon or Macy's card. That's on top of great savings, like 50 to 60% off coats and puffers for him and for her, 40 to 55% off boots and shoes for her, and 20 to 50% off bed and bath refreshes from Charter Club and more. Plus, stock up and save with an amazing 25 to 70% off season-end clearance deals. Now at Macy's. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
It's time to discover new roads in the new year at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Get ready to blaze new trails in the 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. We Gossett at $359 a month or buy for just $26,350. Gets 29 MPG highway. Or get ready to take your pick from 2022 Outlander or 2023 Eclipse Cross for just $399 per month. And you'll always get peace of mind in your new ride with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, $359 per month. 2022 Outlander or 2023 Eclipse Cross, $399 per month. You won't go wrong ever when you shop Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Sport PU 00100 MSRP 27100 Outlander NZO 84912 MSRP 32250 Eclipse PC 004373 MSRP 33335 includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
The NFL playoffs are here, and the easiest way to get into the action is with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. New customers get started with $150 in free bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code WIN. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets. Win or lose with promo code WIN. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
21 plus in select states. Must be present in select states to wager. First online real money wager only. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbookfanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. For Colorado, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Virginia, West Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 Wyoming, Kansas, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. 1-877-770-STOP Louisiana. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. TN Redline 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. They've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Bill Samish, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763, or the office in Collierville, or online at fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you. They're a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I have had an account, been a friend, and been a customer my entire life.
And we look forward to having these picks. Only 4 games left, but so appreciate First National Bank and Trust. All the branches in Eastern Arkansas, now at Ridge Lake, also in Collierville, from Eastern Arkansas to Collierville, and even a bigger footprint coming in 2023 in West Tennessee. Are y'all sad there's only 4 games to pick?
Yeah, it's just it's a stark reminder of
really
us getting closer to Super
Baseball
Bowl Sunday.
season. Oh.
Here's the point. Yeah. Here's the point total. You know our points are how our scoring system works. I'm at plus 13 points for the year. Gabe's at plus 5 points for the year. Bryant, because of a tough college year, is minus 32 points.
Oh, my God.
We're playing golf rules, right?
Brett, you can't just slip that in. My gosh.
Well, that's kind of the anti-Stableford modified scoring system.
Mercy me, Brian. I didn't even know that.
It was a rough college year.
Relatively good season.
But he did lose. Well, he lost to you on the tiebreaker for the bowl picks.
Sure did.
So but he can still win the playoff picks. Last week, Brian went 2-4, but he can still win. You went 5-1 last week. I went 4-2. Tomorrow, 3:30, NBC, Kansas City minus 8.5. Boy, we're getting used to seeing Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the Hunt-owned Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs at this time of year, just every year, and it feels like it's no end in sight. Tomorrow, Kansas City minus 8.5 over Jacksonville. I'm going to go first, straight up. Jacksonville wins 31-30, and we know who the hero is again at the buzzer, knocking it through for Jacksonville to advance to the AFC Championship game.
And by the way, go to sportsmemphis.com and find our wonderful interview with Riley Patterson, kicker for the Jacksonville Jaguars, on our featured audio. Now, for me, I am going to take so I really love the Chiefs' first half, minus 5.5 somewhere, minus 6 elsewhere. I think that they really get off to a big start. I'm going to still take the Chiefs minus the 9.5. I don't really like either side of these of this pick. But I will go with the Chiefs just considering they had a week off. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. They've gotten to get healthy. The Jaguars on the other side, I feel like they sort of gave all they had in that second half against the Chargers. The conversations with Doug Peterson this week seem like they're kind of happy with where they're at. And I think they're a little complacent. I don't think the Chiefs will be that way going into this week. I think the Chiefs handle business in a big way at home.
Gabe, I'm right there with you. I mean, you know my rule, especially in the NFL, it's you never go with a favorite that's double digits. But thankfully, they're not there just yet. But, I mean, I think you're right. I think last week's game was a real emotional game, and, you see a lot. When you have an emotional high, what comes next? It's an emotional low. And so I think that's what we see. I mean, the Chiefs is business as usual in this game tomorrow. So I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Here's another thing to watch out for. I think I told you I think the Chiefs can get up relatively early and have a good lead going into halftime. I think the difference between this week and last week is the Chiefs have a guy named Isaiah Pacheco. They have Jerick McKinnon. They have Ronald Jones, who's gotten some totes. I think they can put the ball
always
around
a freshman
with a good offensive line. They can use some sort of now routes to the outside, get those athletes in space, and I don't think they'll have the issues that the Chargers had.
And they got a player on that defensive front that's going to the Hall of Fame in Chris Jones.
He's unbelievable.
He get ready someday. The Mississippi State Bulldogs headed to Canton. 7:15 tomorrow night on Fox. These two big TV markets, what a rating they'll get. Philadelphia minus 7.5 over Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. Gabe, you first.
This is what I'm going to do. I am going to take the Giants plus the points. The 7.5 is a weird number. Once that hook hit, when you get that 7, you're either playing for in a lot of ways, it feels like you're playing for a push. And potentially, I guess they could pass through that. But that hook kind of bothers me. I think the Giants can keep this within 7. I'm going to go 23-20 Eagles win, but it'll be a close one. And also, for the Giants, I think the big thing working against them, they haven't won a game on the road in Philly since 2013. I don't think that changes, but I think they play close because they have all year.
Brian?
This is a battle of who do the Cowboys get in the NFC Championship game. So I'm going to go with the Giants plus the 7.5. No really rhyme or reason for it, but I'll just take the G-men.
Giants win straight up, and the Cowboys win NFC Championship game at Jerry's World.
Oh, I would love that.
That's right, isn't it? Because the Giants were I think I'm – yeah, because the Cowboys are a better seed.
Yep.
My pick. I talked earlier about chalk or upsets or chalky upsets. I think you're going to see a trend developing. Giants straight up 20-17 over the Eagles.
How about it? I got you, Brett. 2 straight up upsets in games. 1 seeds are going to be a part of it.
I'm only halfway home.
I hear you. Ooh. Let's keep going.
I'll start with Cincinnati. Buffalo, 5.5-point favorite. Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. on CBS. Buffalo with all that emotion at home. I thought they were fortunate to win last week. They don't this week. Joe Cool whips them pretty handily. 35-17 Cincinnati.
Now, here's my thought process going into this game. I know that Joe Burrow last year with an awful offensive line willed that team. Well, not just Joe Burrow. That team willed themselves with the defense, with strong performances from those wide receivers. They willed themselves into the AFC Championship game and then ultimately won and got to the Super Bowl. But this week, I think it's interesting. Last year they had to play the Raiders, and then they played the Titans. Two teams I don't think have the same firepower that the Bills have. And for the Bills, Josh Allen's been hearing about this whole 22 turnovers. Oh, he leads the league in turnovers from a quarterback, yada, yada, yada. Last week we were talking about Dak Prescott. You remember this? And him hearing the noise and trying to respond from that. I think Josh Allen's going to be lights out in this game, and I think the Bills could potentially run away with this game. I'm calling Bills by 10, and they cover.
Wow, Gabe, I hope you're right. You had a great weekend last weekend, didn't you?
I did.
Well, I hope you have another good one because I'm now 3 for 3 siding with you. I'm also going to take Buffalo minus 5.5. Everyone's talking about Josh Allen and how he kind of struggled last week. I think this is a game where they say, hey, look, we're in position to go to the Super Bowl and could win the Super Bowl, but we've got to play like it. And so I think they come out ready to roll on Sunday.
And also the Bengals offensive line injuries are going to loom large in this one.
Yeah, we had a group lock on the Giants last week. We were 1-0 on group locks, 15-31 on the year. Bryant, okay, we know who you're picking here. Dallas, 4.5-point underdog in Santa Clara at Levi Stadium against their old nemesis, the 49ers.
Am I going first?
Yes.
Give me the 49ers. It worked last week. I'm hoping it works again.
All right,
guys.
Are
you really doing that?
Brett, we've talked about it multiple times. I'm the most superstitious person you'll ever meet. I've got to do it. If it worked last week, hopefully it works again.
Brett, do y'all realize in Memphis the number of Cowboys decorated cars that will come out next week?
I love it.
The window flags, the whole 9
Makes
yards.
my day when I see one of those trucks.
Brett, I want you to take second pick here, though, because I have a setup here.
I'll be glad to. San Francisco, a 4.5-point favorite. It doesn't matter. Give me those points. I don't really need those points. And Bryant, you're going to love my score. Dallas wins 28-27 late on a corner post route, a la Montana to Dwight Clark. They won that day 28-27. You think Jerry Jones' grandkids celebrated last week. One of the great Jerry Jones stories ever. When he went in the Pro Football Hall of Fame at Canton, he gave his daughter, Charlotte Jones, said, you plan the party. She came to him and said, well, here's who the grandkids want is the musical act. He said, who? I don't care who it is or what it costs. She said, it's $2 million for 2 hours. He said, pay it. Justin Timberlake.
Oh.
They get Justin Timberlake on the plane ride home from San Francisco after winning 28-27.
Ooh. Now for me, Dak played good last week, but I'm going to start this here. Cowboys need to make the 49ers one-dimensional if they want to win this game. You have to stop the run first. Everything else will follow after that. You have to allow yourself to use that strength, that pass rush. And also the Cowboys working against them this week. They had a bunch of things working against them last week. Tom Brady's record against them, the fact they hadn't won a playoff game on the road and as long as they did. But they have the most consecutive playoff appearances without making a conference championship, and that's 11. But the Cowboys do lead the NFL in pressure percentage, and I want to point something out. According to ESPN's next-gen stats, wide open throws last week. We saw Brock Purdy had a really good game. He went 18 for 30, had 4 TDs, accounted for 4 TDs. But wide open throws, according to next-gen stats, is 5+ yards of separation. Brock Purdy was 9 for 10 on wide open throws when there was 5+ yards of separation. Last week, 9 for 20. 9 for 20, not even 50% on throws that didn't have 5+ yards of separation. The Cowboys have stuck to guys. I think they have a really good pass rush. I don't care how good or how at least solid that San Francisco 49ers offensive front is. I'm taking the Cowboys here. Dak keeps it going, 24-20 straight up. Give me the Cowboys.
Love it. I'm calling it now. Cowboys in the Super Bowl. I decorate my car Super Bowl.
Let's do it.
Or rather, big game week. I don't want to get in trouble.
That's right.
Well, okay. What are you going to decorate it with? You going to get some window coverings, license plate covering,
the big air, like the airport thing, like to see which way the wind's blowing.
There we go. All right. On that note, let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day, final break of the week. When we come back, we will end this week of Sports Time with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It's time to get your Kia on at Gossett Kia on the Pike. And Bobby J is ready to put you in a new Kia today. You ready for a road trip? How about 41 MPG Highway and your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS? $254 a month, 36-month lease, $27.99 due at signing. Or rock out in your new 2023 Kia Soul. Only $272 a month, 36-month lease, $27.99 due at signing. And if we don't have what you want, not a problem. Let Bobby J order a new ride for you today, and you won't pay over MSRP. Plus, you always get Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today at Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or shop 24/7 at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Forte LXS PE 573573, MSRP 21335, Soul P 7899335, MSRP 21835. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 1/31/2023. Dealer stock only. Warranties and limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Hey guys, Platinum Jewelers wants to make you feel like a king or queen this holiday season and all year long. It's where the Tigers and Grizzlies go. Platinum Jewelers specializes in diamond engagement rings and customization, and they have a wide variety of watches, bracelets, earrings, and rings. They'll pay top dollar for your gold and diamonds, and wholesale pricing is available. Platinum Jewelers, 9387 Poplar Avenue in Germantown, next to Fresh Market. Call 901-907-0626. Platinum Jewelers, proud supporters of the Memphis Tigers.
It's time to ring in the new year in style. It's time to treat yourself to 117 Prime, Memphis's premier downtown dining destination. Put 2022 in the rearview mirror by enjoying the best steak you've ever had in your life at 117 Prime. Close your eyes and imagine. Wait, don't close your eyes if you're driving. Just imagine the perfect steak, any cut you like, cooked by people who have devoted their lives to cooking you the perfect steak. Sure, there'll be great sides, head desserts, head cocktails, but the star of this meal is the steak of your dreams. It's a new year. Take yourself to 117 Prime.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Forte PE 573573, MSRP 21335, K5 LSX 00991 8857, MSRP 26805. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/2023 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details. Hey, Jeff, my man, are you ready to almost give away some new Kias today to start the new year off right at Gossett Kia, South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. How about 41 MPG Highway and your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS, only $254 a month. 36-month lease, $27.99 due at sign.
Hey, Jeff, how about that new K5? That thing's awesome.
We got it at just $319 a month. 36-month lease, $31.99 due at signing. Plus, with all your new Kias, you know you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And if you don't see exactly what you want, I'll order it for you, and you won't pay over MSRP at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia, Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
You drove it, you love it. What more do you need to know?
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskell.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream,
and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
I learned today that Gonzaga took a unbelievable loss to Loyola Marymount last night, 68-67. Cam Shelton cooked 27 points for Loyola Marymount. In that last possession to win the game, he made Drew Timme look absolutely silly. Gonzaga, I think, is still very good, but a tad bit of a fall-off, and it felt inevitable with Tommy Lloyd's departure a year ago to Arizona. But here's the crazy part. When you look at this by the numbers, how historical this was. Gonzaga, the streaks that were snapped last night, they had 76 straight home wins. That's the 8th longest home win streak in D1 history. That was snapped. 83 straight wins as a ranked team versus unranked opponents. That was the 2nd longest streak in D1 history. That was snapped. And then also they had 32 straight home wins versus Loyola Marymount. The last time Loyola Marymount was able to beat them on their home floor was February 7th, 1991. Good for Loyola Marymount.
That's great stuff. I think Gonzaga better take that Big 12 offer if it's really out there, or once this merry-go-round starts, they could get forgotten. And right there, Mark Few could be in this club. I've learned here come the retirements. Bray has started it at Notre Dame. What if it's Barnes, Self, Boeheim, Huggins, Kermit, Leonard Hamilton, Ed Cooley even, Tom Izzo, plenty of cash all those people have made in the whole I just can't take it anymore changing landscape of college sports. Not all of those names will, but I think all of them are thinking about it, including Mark Few. This is a new era.
And what I could have done without, Jim Harbaugh will not be called a liar. We know about the incident with him. I don't know if it's cheeseburgers or whatever, but the NCAA is coming after Michigan. And according to Pete Thamel at ESPN, during an attempt to expedite the case and achieve a negotiated resolution, Harbaugh refused to acknowledge that he had lied to NCAA investigators. He says he doesn't remember the incident that's in question. It's also being reported that any admission would have led to a multiple game suspension. There's 4 level 2 violations that could lead to a level 1 violation now for not cooperating. It'll take a year plus, though. We know the NCAA timeline. We understand it. So a potential suspension may not take place until 2024. But also, Michigan had to fire a co-OC, Matt Weiss, because of police investigation into potential computer access crime. I mentioned it off the top of the show. It's hard to separate the two right now with all the smoke with the NCAA and Michigan.
I could do without all the kind of the dour attitudes over the Tigers. They're 14-5. Enjoy it a little more. Big road game on Sunday, and what could be the last trip to Cincinnati. I can't wait to listen to Matt Dillon on the pregame show. I learned from him. I love him personally. I like how he does it. In that history segment, this could be the last one to Cincinnati. First trip to Cincinnati was in 1968. Mo Iba's second year as head coach of the Tigers. Mo Iba got a reference today. Did you have that one on the bingo card?
Did not see that one coming, but I love it.
What I'm watching tonight and then over the weekend, Grizzlies at Lakers tonight, Tigers versus at Cincinnati, I should say, on Sunday. Watch all the divisional round games. And also, HBO has a show called The Last of Us, based on a video game. I watched the first episode. I'm going to watch episode 2 on Sunday. Looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to this weekend. Grizzlies tonight in L.A., Sunday in Phoenix, Tigers Sunday in Cincinnati, NFL Saturday and Sunday. Trevor Lawrence cannot throw a single interception, much less 4 in the first half. How healthy for Jalen Hurts? Joe Cool versus Josh Allen. Can the Cowboys block Nick Bosa? Does Brock Purdy, does he start to look irrelevant at some point Sunday?
And does Brett Maher have a bounce-back game? What are we calling, yes or no?
Yes.
Bounce-back game?
Yes.
Let's see it. Well, Bryant, you said that you thought the Niners, you picked the Niners to win.
That doesn't mean that Brett Maher doesn't knock down a couple field goals or extra points.
I guess we'll see. But that's all we have for today and the week.
Great week,
Thanks
man.
for joining us. Great week. Thanks for all of our listeners for contributing to the program. And also thanks to our guests today, Jason Munz, Ty Richardson, Bruce Marshall, and Alan Bell for their great contributions to a Friday show. But for Brian, for Brett, I'm Gabe. Be easy. Stay safe. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the football. Enjoy all the sports. We'll talk to you Monday.